tenure across a number of very successful rosters. Of course, there are a couple people like that from OMG. People like Photic have had some decent showings. Moam has been around and about. Juhan's been around and about. But you've got to think with LNG's roster that's one a couple years ago would have been a top prospect for the LPL.
You go back to, yeah, about 23, 24, and a lot of these players would have been, you know, in a much better spot. Croco, when he first came into the LPL on Anyone's Legend, was a bit of a fire starter. And then, of course, we saw that. The thing about Croco is that he is one of the most snowbally junglers I've ever seen, and this is in a league with Guon as well. I think Croco is actually even more snowbally.
Oh, yeah.
In both directions, in both directions. You know, we'll see what happens with Missing's Bard. Of course, Missing, a bit of a tumultuous past for him too now. You know, 2023 on this JDG Super Team, the peak of his career, and of course, a year or two before that too, was actually very solid. He really struggled ever since the Super Team left. He was the biggest loser of that team falling apart in terms of his own individual play.
You're such a loser, always ready to cry. Huh? It's Jinx's line.
I know, but I just didn't get the beat of it, Sam.
Okay.
I didn't get the beat of it. I was like, is that... I get it now, Sam. I get it now. I was just like... I just thought it was at a... Not quite my tempo, I guess, Sam. And best a band away from Harry. And I guess you a band away from Bulldog.
You just whiplash me.
Yes, Sam. Shh. Run, horse, run. No, that's really harsh. No, I just did my Uma runs this morning, so... Right, okay. Rise is still available. God, what is happening to me today? I did not wake up fully, folks. Half my brain is just not...
That's not a lot to work with, is it, really?
Shush. Yeah. You'll be happy to know that Solstice Augury is carrying me in CM12.
Ah, excellent. You're so welcome.
Yeah. Jade spanned away. I'm surprised that the Rise hasn't been picked up a little while, though. I mean, especially when there's a Lee Sin, I thought you could probably lock in a higher tier pick, but maybe OMG would have actually banned it. Croco has played this on stage before.
Yeah, I agree. As it stands, OMG can have a lot of scaling. Photic gets a hold of his Sivir. He's very competent on that champion. One of the big issues with Photic really boils down to just his champion pool, and his champion effectiveness has often been quite limited, but the champions he is good on, he's often been pretty excellent at. Sivir is among that pool for me.
Amogus. No, potentially locked in as a blind pit. Don't look at me like that, Sam. I listened to your very interesting analytical point, and I thought I picked out the words which were most important to me, Sam. The not locked in is a safe blind pit. And we'll see what the counter into the mid lane is. No Annie, no Cassie here. So Onivia would be the typical answer, but I think that Jarvan with a Sivir running... Well, typically Onivia's quite good against the Sivir, but Jarvan's pretty good into the...
Rise hates it, Sivir hates it, Karma hates it. And the other things, it sets up a wall for Bard to stun you on. It makes skill shot gallery very easy, as there is the last pick, Vayne.
Vayne has been the Gnar counter of this split, and it's been working really well. I think very few people have been able to survive the first back. I know that people look at this as a bad game for it, but Bin's game against Suyan's Vayne top lane has been... I think that was the best I've seen someone play the matchup, at least before that first back. He got to Steelcap's first back on even CS. That shouldn't have happened in that matchup. So, see what Harry can do in this matchup against Sheer, and with a Sheer does something like the Hail of Blades Cloth 4 start to try and survive through to... Steelcap's first back, which really changes the matchup. But most of the time, the Gnar just falls out of the game, and then you're just looking for team fights. You don't get that sideline. We're going to go on a quick outbreak, folks. We don't get it in game. If you don't want adverts, subscribe now. You'll also be supporting us as two independent casters who are trying to make it in the cold, dark world of the internet.
Please, spare us some subs. Prime subscription.
The funny thing is, I know that on highlight videos, the end of the draft is often the bit which is taken out of the cast, so now you're just you're gonna get some real weird stuff on the highlights.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, my work here is done.
Shakes tin for coins. Even it's a green tin as well. Nice play. Well, in terms of overall composition, I think I prefer LNGs. I think that Croco and Lee Sin versus a struggling jungler. I think that Ezreal for 1xN as one of the most potent AD carries in the LPL, not just Group Nirvana, is so dangerous. We'll see where the gyros are, and we'll talk to you after that.
Giles done. OMG. One very ardent supporter in there, ensuring there are gyos occurring. And I appreciate you, OMG fan. Glad to have you in here. What I will say is, as you can see, I think I agree with that statistical graph. LNG have got themselves a lot of playmaking in the mid game. Ezreal, Bard, Lee Sin. Excellent news. Later on, you have got Enchanta plus double hyperscaling AD carry plus hyperscaling mage plus Jarvan to start things off. Like, if you get 3 items in this game, OMG, whatever zone control you have, will be a nightmare.
For sure, and that'll require some crazy Ezreal and Lee Sin mechanics to make sure that they wouldn't get kind of outplayed at that point. Just want to talk about something in chat as well, because someone over on YouTube, Darren, bring up the fact that, you know, they missed the 2023 OMG. And I think it's a really important point to bring up here too. You know, OMG and LNG are both teams which have had international exposure. You know, LNG went to Worlds 3 times? 4 even? No, they were there in 2020 and 21, and then were there again in 2023.
They go 24?
I don't think they went in 2024, right? Oh, sorry, and they were there because that was the Scout year. Yeah, because then Scout went there as their mid laner. Yeah. That was a big thing for them too. Of course, he came out first place in Swiss with the Yone meta. Yeah, so they've been, you know, to Worlds a number of times. But OMG on the other side, they were one of the most famous teams in the world. You go back about, well, 10 years ago. Yeah. But even just a couple of years ago, for LPL kind of savants out there, and those of good taste, OMG 2022 and 23 particularly was a very special team. Those of you who followed I Will Dominate, he was a big fan of them. I was a huge fan of them. You know, they was in a highly aggressive, creative team. That was the hyper bot lane centric meta with the Sivir Yumi, the Zeri Yumi kind of continuing from 2022. And OMG showed the world how to play stuff like the Yone Rumble Maokai. And they were hyper aggressive, and they were just such a fun team. And while Cream has gone on to do great things from that roster, basically everyone else has fallen into obscurity or into retirement now, and it's a real shame because OMG were a special team around that era.
Gods of Chaos found within one roster. Very entertaining. It really was. Loved a lot of those players. A lot of them went on to do great things. Some of them never managed to really stick to the high highs they hit. I'm looking at probably Cream is probably the one med player who's really managed to stick around. I think that's probably fair. He was looking like the very special part of that roster.
He's on great form now. I know that obviously when he first went to top esports, it was less good from him. As we talk about the gameplay very quickly, how it should just go to better lane. But yeah, Cream, he's the guy which I think has kind of carried on that legacy a bit more, and now he is truly one of the best mid laners within the LPL. But OMG, despite the fact that they've developed a lot of talent over time, not really managed to stay kind of relevant for the last couple of years now. Rocking on top lane.
Now this is a way to deal with a Vayne, is just blow her summoners. She has a lot less fun without the flash. Having to play that bot, so they do have that ward. Photic though eats quite a lot of damage. It's not the best spell shield of all time, actually.
Yeah, the thing is, the W had already connected to the auto attack proc tip, so I think at that point spell shield doesn't work on the proc of the damage. Bulldog failing a little bit in this early laning phase. Now, Bulldog, a player who has oft been criticized for his inconsistent champion pool. You know, think, well, his Tristana's good, and, you know, he's got a good Orianna, but, well, what is there outside of that? I don't think that's been a complaint as much in LPL this year, but it's something which just looms in the back of our minds when we talk about the player from his time in LCK. Of course, a player who came over from Korea to China this year.
Worth noting again, Sheer has gone cloth, has gone pot, has had the gank early. It's what we wanted to see. The Lee Sin's done their due diligence to get that flash. Missing's now roaming. I'll also note 1xN has gone towards the teleport summoner to deal with the perma shove and poke. I think that's probably quite wise. The kill lane bot, not that high. The early pressure on poke, though, is going to be obnoxious, so better resets make sense.
Missing's going to walk over a ward here. Harry will walk back. 10 CS lead in top lane. It could be a lot worse. And by the way, Sheer did go for the Hellblades Colossal stuff, which I did not personally talk about yet. Sam might have mentioned that. I was...
You were looking elsewhere, that's fine. It was worth double mentioning.
Yeah. Well, it's probably the most important thing that's happened in this game. So, cool. There you go. Double mention of it makes sense. Because if you can survive through to steel caps, which are coming in now, then it really changes the matchup. Pai Chao, heavy trade onto him. If he got hit by that Bard Q, I think he might have actually died.
Close to. He was certainly been forced to flash, I think, at the very least.
And yes, for people wondering who the bot lane of that OMG 23 team was, yes, it was Abel and PP God. They were the bot laners there. Q missing in terms of the stun. But yeah, the OMG bot lane was fun.
And I think it is worth saying, of course, as Moam is going to find a nice little route there. The PP God knew exactly what he was doing. Like he knew what his name meant. He knew exactly what it wasn't some mistranslation. It wasn't some funny Mandarin to English issue. No, he just said, "I got great PP."
Oh yeah, there was an interview. It was like, oh, cool, pretty much. And that was the end of it. Then it's like, well, cool. That's what people are gonna know me for now. Some good damage from 1xN missing, despite the fact the Photic will run at them more. They pop the heal, missing, taking a little bit more than he accounted for.
Duo's not gonna have the most fun here, as Crocker's been able to stack up a lot of his passive there. Does miss that Sonic Wave. That could have gotten a bit messy.
Yeah, Croco Conqueror kind of Conqueror stacking Lee Sin was. It's been a thing for years and years. That's what brought Lee Sin back into meta for a long time in, well, it would have been Season 8 when Conqueror came around. Lee Sin, Kiana, stuff like that, they just kind of run at you, get Conqueror fully stacked, and then, well, you'd be in a really sad place because they bursted you out first off, but then they just get some crazy continual value after that point. Sheer, I don't think it's far enough behind in top lane for this to be too much of an issue right now. He does have himself go the exhaust and the ultimate final hour. So if he gets a solo kill, this matchup then starts to break open again, much like we saw from Stuyan versus Bin. But as it stands right now, I don't think OMG have done enough through top lane.
No, I don't either, but we'll see. Again, Juhan's kind of been tracked a little bit. Moam's now mid lane, trying to get some value. But the problem, again, you are Karma into a Onivia. It's going to force the flash because the wall and the stun allowed the Lee Sin to get on top of you.
So Bulldog for him. Dealing with some flashless members too will be very important for the Onivia later. So, Flash, Gordon.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, and I know we say this every so often, but like it's one of the great sins in League of Legends, the fact that Ming had to retire before Sam had the chance to go like talk about Ming the Merciless.
Yes, that was I had a whole lines about Ming flashing and him being merciless. It was going to be wonderful, guys. It would have made me smile and no one else, and that's all you really need from a cast.
What makes me frown, grimace, cry, is that Bulldog Mr. Cannon.
Yeah, that is a -1 in chat.
It is a -1, even in farm, not really what you want. Dragging over to LNG, grubs over to OMG. I just had that Ming retired in general. Very, very good player.
The problem is his last few years were excellent. Ooh, nice chunk there from 1xN, by the way. That actually got someone to follow, so I appreciate you for understanding the references. Welcome, Mary. You are among friends. Photic's forced to ult away. I don't know whether he's got the spell shield back steps, and that actually means that he doesn't get value from his spell shield. We've all been there on Civic.
Yeah, you just like double defense. Like I'm gonna backstep and spell shield, see what happens. Halo Blades and Mega up for Sheer. They're jumping onto him. The knockup doesn't land, but the Cataclysm does. Has to flash away because the Condemn would have come shortly after.
Yeah, that would have been pretty scary. Does get out to safety now, down a fair amount of CS, and again forced to drop that wave under turret, which is a bit sad for Sheer, but hey, so be it. That's a little better from the side of OMG. Rocco now around, might be able to interrupt it back here. Watch the Sonic Wave, lands it. Harry's in danger. The exhaust comes on down, and that's an interrupt on the Vayne, who again doesn't have the TP, so that might actually hurt her a little bit here. Look towards this lane again. High Chow gets crystallized, gets glacial storms, eats a bit of damage there. There is an electrocute course on the Onivia to keep the damage rolling. It's going to hit a little bit more damage. The Flash Frost comes on through. Moab is around, but I think missing just on this Bard is going to be a bit of a menace anyway. It's always been one of his better champions. Missing in an Enchanter meta, missing in a pick meta, always going to feel really good. The Rakans, the Bards, the Enchanters, always been his bread and butter.
I mean, back in the day, it was stuff like his opportunistic engage champions, like his Rel was really, really good in 2023. But yeah, I think that you're right. I think that his enchanters have been on the whole better than his engaged champions for the last couple of years now. A while ago I would have said yes, probably was the harder engaged Nautilus, Leona, Rel. But that's because just kind of everyone was playing it, and there wasn't really enough variety to see much of a difference in it. But no, I think that his Bard has been actually pretty good. Given the fact that LPL was never a Bard region, we talk this up every so often because Bard's been out for 10 years now, so it's been out for over that. It was a release in 2015 and has been ruining my games ever since, and I therefore banned the champion quite a lot.
You own him now, though.
I do. Sadly, someone gifted me the champion and Bard as a skin. Potential jump onto Moab. He may be very well dead here. That is some synergy.
Oh, but it does actually force the backstep from Moab, so he dies. And 1xN gets the kill. Nicely done in the grand scheme of things with the ult on from Photic plus the shield. It was a very speedy Karma, but she couldn't use it to break away from the play.
Yeah, it's a golden combo, but kind of like in like the Midas touch kind of way, where it's like,
Top lane though.
Yeah, Sheer doesn't have Mega this time, doesn't have Flash. I think he might be a dead. Well, they're heading up here. How quickly can they get there? I think he might be dead before they arrive. No, they call off the play. I'm surprised at that.
They just decided it wouldn't have happened quick enough, and I wonder whether there is some truth to that. Remember, Harry, no exhaust, has got the Flash. He needs to be really careful here. He's got a final hour in a dream, just hit that top lane quest. That might be something to work with. He'll have the TP, tries to run over. The stun is excellent. There's no way to condemn out of this one, and the Monster Hunter is hunted in turn.
Missing excellent Q Flash. We were just saying, look, Bard's never really been LPL's champion, but it has been this year. This year, Bard has finally worked his way, into the LPL wheelhouse with the likes of Mako and On really succeeding on the champion, and it kind of filtering down through into our other supports as well. Missing a solid game from him right now. I know we said it's a bit of anti-synergy in that bot side, but it ended up being not very impactful at all. Really, it didn't, the ultimate, which we thought might have been a misplay, didn't matter. Now LNG, sizable early lead, and LNG as a team that we know them as this year, very snowbally team, as we said, through jungle particularly. The Croco's ahead, LNG are ahead. I think they'll just be able to whack OMG with the gold lead.
Yeah, they will. And again, you're 10 CS behind as an Arbu who you just picked up a kill. That's fine. Everything's all right here. Thank you very much for the donation, whoever that was, by the way. I think Alex has gone to go double check on that one. Appreciate you guys for looking after us. I send much love to you all for the help.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really, really appreciate you. And again, folks, if you're enjoying what you're hearing here, God, I don't know why you think that. Thanks. Hey, we're pretty good at what we do. This one.
Can you not undercut us like that?
Yeah. How? Wow. Marketing. I need to talk to our marketing department. Alex, what are you doing? Oh yeah. Okay.
Marketing department. What are we doing?
It's me putting on a different hat very slightly. But yeah, no, we appreciate
what
it.
What hat does the marketing department wear?
Well, actually, I'm not wearing any hats in any of these.
That's a problem, isn't it?
I'm wearing a different non-hat.
So hair.
Well, I'm not changing my hair. You know, they tried to rope me into like a shave hair bet on Power Spike yesterday. And I was like, look, I don't think you all understand. I would rather see like, like the oceans freeze or something like than participate in your shenanigans. No, that's
you
not.
You would become a wig wearer. Will you wear wigs? Yes, yes, you would. If you went bald, you would.
Yeah, you know that hang on a second, Mo has to flash away. He's not been able to keep onto that summon at all, which is really difficult now because, I mean, having no flash versus Lee Sin and Onivia and Bard is hard as hell.
It is, and again, part of the reason why the Onivia has seen a lot of players, we've seen a lot more of these enchanters, and enchanters hate the wall. The crystal is so annoying. You are still going to lose this top lane turret, I think, here is LNG. They have managed to get that second dragon. Sheer's just trying to play this one as safe as they can. They probably do just about hold the turret this time around. Photic on the Sivir will be able to hold that, I think. At the very least here, though, missings around probably means that Juan and Harry can't go too far. The Condemned is used a little early there, actually. I wonder whether there's a touch of threat now with the Bard around.
Yeah, no ultimate from him, which means that it's a little diminished. I think walking up the river is the end of that play. Although, I mean, Croco's just the other side of the play as well. And the wall. It's the Night's Watch in top lane. It's not.
It's a mid lane, actually, and it is the Iceberg as well. Maybe, hang on, that's a little bit.
Final hour.
Missing. Final hour. Wow, they really want this missing. Does have the shield, can maybe not flash, and that's going to get him dead. I don't know what was happening. Oh, he didn't have the flash.
He didn't have flash, that's why.
Yeah.
Honestly, Sam, that's a really good calculation from Harry, who says, I can face tank the Nard. That's not a problem. Hashir about to get himself towards that ultimate.
TP behind.
Hold the top lane turret.
In comes the Ezreal, actually, with the TP. That's going to make things interesting. The slow onto Harry, but he dodges a lot. Flash on 4, trying to tumble away. Last few autos. Ezreal goes in. The shield isn't enough. Cataclysm is also not enough. They lose another. Now the bird's flown up top. Out comes the Glacial Storm flying north for winter. They're going to put another bit of a stun into Moab. Sure, they killed off missing, but LNG punish with absolute ruthlessness.
No, initial play from Harry was good to kill off the first target, but after that, LNG just brought enough members to the play, and as soon as you start using your mobility, as soon as you don't have all of your damage lined up, especially at this point in the game. You don't have the best items in compared to, you know, the one item spikes of the Lee Sin, the Ezreal. You are going to lose the DPS check. The kills go over to Shit and to Croco. They're very happy about that, and the Vayne isn't ahead of the matchup. Herald's going to go down in favor of LNG. I don't think there'll be a contest. I mean, Juhan is around. There is a teleport top side.
The magical journey should get them out there. There is a TP indeed in, but it's a little too little, a little too late. They TP in. Unfortunately for them, the better AD carry teleport already happened. It's 1xN with the flanking Ezreal that helps turn around what was actually a really good start for play from Harry.
It was. I mean, goes invisible going into the queue, so it's quite hard to finish off the Vayne. Ran out of mana, that was a big thing, so now he's no flash. And I think Harry just has to back off. I think that sticking around as the Vayne there, big problem. No mana to play for a Condemn, no mana to play for Qs even. The initial skill shots don't work very well, but you're absolutely right. The teleport flanking Ezreal is the difference maker. Jarvan goes in to try and save him the Cataclysm, and actually ends up just getting himself killed. Mid lane turret falls with the Herald being used there too. LNG explode into the lead. This is now a significant lead for them.
Yeah, they've got 2 turrets from the last few moments. We're now looking at gold leads across the top side of the map, and more importantly, a 1,500 or so gold lead for 1xN in the spot lane. That's a very early pickup on the Mana Mune. Not many stacks off for Muramana either. It's about 50 odd, and as the Ezreal, you do churn through them relatively quickly once you pick up that completed item. The transformation, my suspicions is, will not be lasting all that much long here. Look at that mid lane play. Photic got hit by the Flash Frost and stuff, and actually just died under the turret. Just about flashed out with the heal and the spell shield that provided it, got him out to safety, but was forced to retreat, which gave the mid lane turret over despite the save. Normally being quite a good way to finish.
Now, if you're in chat, doesn't matter which chat you're in, I'd actually really like to know what your favorite memories of these two teams are, because we've talked about the history, while it might not apply to these rosters. I want to know what people's favorite memories of LNG and OMG are, because for LNG, you know, I love their 23 roster. 23 Summer LNG is one of my favorite LPL teams of all time. The Tarzan Scout roster. It was really, really fun.
My favorite memory is the 10,000 damage Maokai team fight with the AP Maokai from Tarzan. That was one of the most genuinely horrifying things I've ever seen in my life. I have never seen Maokai do that much damage in a fight ever.
Funnily enough, my favorite memory of that isn't actually the gameplay, it's Monty Cristo reviewing that game on Bangers Only. And like, you know when like Monty has that very satisfied laugh? That was the one where you just sees the bush sapling with like the Leandries, this first stand, and he's like, this man's just got himself like 1,000 gold from both kills and first stand. Fantastic.
That's right, yeah.
First strike, yes, or not first stand. I mean, that is always going to get me, I tell you.
I was thinking, wow, he got to win the tour before it began.
Ferguson bring up the Season 3, Season 4 San roster for OMG. You have to bring that up to a certain degree. You have to. You know, I mean, OMG, the 2013, 2014 of, you know, Worlds, and then into All-Star, the precursor to MSI. Very, very nice.
Here, precursors 5 seconds before Soul Point would spawn for LNG, so everyone's down here in force. Bulldog was just fighting over wards with Juhan, who had to really scramble to clear out some of those wards, and immediately they were already gone again. There was a ward in the back of the pit here, at least.
Oh, my God!
He jumped on! There's a wall behind him. He puts down a Cataclysm of his own, but that pit really is just a hole to bury himself in.
Well, Juhan replaced Rayo, who replaced him earlier in the year, and I'm not going to lie, Juhan's not exactly been doing that well. The roll forwards, but not with the final Ashes, just on wave clear duty. So, by the way, Q onto the rise, which means that maybe he's in danger too.
Harry has to flash as well. The Temper Face there, the magical journey would take him to the other side of the wall, but I think they are happy to leave that one alone. Soul Point was secured by LNG, 4,000 gold lead also there. It's quite a lot of damage back onto Missing, but again, we're not quite there, and they'll just threaten a little bit, throw out some ults, try and stop some backs, but I think they'll call the play off for now. That's Lee Sin. Kind of wait to see whether someone face checks. Doesn't want to walk into 2 people. That would be a mistake. It does give Bulldog, though, the ability to crash this wave bot, gets him more plates, while people like Haichao have to kind of just fight randomly over bushes.
Tarzan, Kiana at Worlds 2021. Abel, Samira. Tarzan at Worlds 21 wouldn't have been on LNG. He would have been on... God, where was he at that point? Because he moved over... he moved over a little while ago. I'm actually going to check when he was around. Was he... Because he moved on in... He was on LNG in 2023. I'm just trying to remember if he was on LNG before that, actually. Gosh, anyway, it's been a while since he was there. Was he actually? Oh my god, he was. No, I'm just completely wrong. I'm completely wrong. Just my timeline's off there. You're absolutely right. He was there. My apologies. Forgot that Tarzan moved over that much earlier. Very different time. God, I was like, oh, surely he couldn't move there then. Of course he has done. He was on Weibo in 24. That's when he moved off of it. It was LNG, then Weibo. Gosh, I've forgotten how kind of mobile he was as a player between rosters. LNG in complete control of the map. Bulldog ends up getting his level 10 on the Rod of Ages, goes up to level 15 there. Haichao is down. His Rod of Ages is still on 4 stacks. Of course, the Rise you buy a little bit later, but this doesn't have the gold either.
Photic forced to flash there, by the way. Does just about get out to safety.
Oh yeah, Arla and Fiora at the same time. Oh, good memories. Good memories there, folks.
Now jump at this turret again. There's just so much CC change. Tempered Fate forces another flash. They have been so obnoxious, but that's a decent turnaround. They're missing. A little too far forwards there, friends.
Now, there may be some arguments say that's not a turnaround, Sam. That's just like OMG just picking up a player who's just delivered himself FedEx style under your turret. Like, what? Missing my team. We've been praising you mostly for this game. That wasn't a magical journey. That was like a, you know, a slightly concerning hearse ride.
Yeah, well, that was a bit fun. I guess they thought that the turret was going to fall, and he just, doesn't really get to play the game there.
I don't know whether he thought he could just get a quick Q or something. Sam, it was a mistake is what it was. It was a mistake. Not that it really changes the game. You know, LNG, they've managed to do all of this without a Baron buff, by the way. It's not like they've been sieging in without that. They got Ocean Soul in 2.5 minutes. It's not like LNG have even done anything that crazy. The big things which LNG have won out here were obviously some early kind of plays from bot lane doing very well, and then just roaming to top lane at the right time. That's the biggest thing. They just brought the right members top lane. I think the 1xn teleport up there to take the turret as well really broke open the map, and this is the problem with something like the Vayne top. You can't always assume it's going to get ahead enough to actually win you a game. It'll give you some dopamine in the early game. Getting to the point where it actually wins you a game, well, that's the difficult bit.
Yeah, it's still stuck at one item here. When it gets a second, maybe you'll have something with the Essence Reaver Hex play ability to start dueling out in these side lanes a bit better. Juhan looking for a flank angle onto missing here. He's got a magical journey. This gets a little bit interesting. Where are we looking here, folks? Gonna find a lemon Juhan. Are we sure?
I was not sure about that at all. Sam, there's a 2-item Ezreal stood right in front of him. Croco does have Q landed on target, as we said. Dragon up in a minute and a half. Ult's not going to hit onto Haichao.
Does get the ghost out of him, though, so you'll take that. That's one of those big summoners down. Photic, Moham, Haichao down some of their mobility. I suspect Kerry will have that flash up in time. By the time we come round to that dragon, it might be just off cooldown, but we'll keep our eyes on it. Either way, I think LNG on the whole going to be happier in terms of that flash and mobility count.
OMG versus Top Esports in 2023. I was casting that on the main stream, so many of you might have seen me casting that one too. And also, you'll remember at the end of the year, it worked out very well, I believe, in spring, where OMG beat Top Esports. And then you look into summer, and that was National Fly into the Sunday.
It was.
One of our favorite moments here on this stream, where it was mid lane Kai'Sa meta, and Cream chose to fly into 5 people.
It was bizarre.
He flew into the sun, so we have now inaugurated that day as National Fly into the Sunday. So I remember that very, very fondly, in kind of like a slightly disparaging way. Sorry, Cream. Croco clearing out vision. Dragon in less than 30 seconds. Now LNG are going to walk up with a 3-item Ezreal, Sam.
Yeah.
And if OMG don't manage to cut down 1xn, I actually think Croco was all on the Lee Sin. I think they do just lose. I think both those champions can one-shot enough people that they just win the fight.
Yeah, and again, you've got the Oblivion Orb done from Bulldog as well, so even things like a little bit of that healing and sustain's not going to be all that valuable here. Gets a bit scary. The wall comes down. Haichao's trapped on the wrong side of it. Needs to sprint away. Loses a third of his HP bar just for some basic skill shots. This corridor has been a nightmare for OMG. Going to try and speed their way in here. Sen threatening another wall. Juhan forced to flag and drag out.
Realm Warp using to reposition. He's only bringing himself,
they know he's there,
though, and that could be a problem. He's going to hop over with a ward he prepared earlier. Almost flashes into the queue, and now suddenly Haichao's just completely out of the fight.
Juhan goes in, but missing flashes away. So does Bulldog. Juhan flashes out. Now LNG goes to the Croco in the backside kick onto the Sivir. 1xm picks up the job, and Croco follows with a resonating shroud, voting to run away, but a boomerang follows up and brings down the Sivir. Another crystallize ensures the death of the rest of the team, and Haichao's back, but his team is dead. The Tempered Fate forces him to step into a bush, and he falls as well. LNG with a clean team fight after Haichao's flank goes critically wrong.
I'm just looking at the player reactions there too. Haichao, you know, rubbing his forehead, not really sure what he just did there. I don't think. Haichao, difficult year for him. You know, last year wasn't easy for him either on LNG. This guy came in as a very exciting prospect, Haichao, but he's not found himself great rosters to be on ever since, you know, leaving LGD spotted out on the flank. There was a ward there. They managed to force this flash out, and then suddenly it's a 4v5. It's a really good team fight by Croco and 1xN in particular, but also a shout out to Bulldog. But the initial flash away, very important. It's a fight around Ezreal and the Lee Sin, but then the big nastiness comes in once like the Onivia just locks people in place for them to do stuff. And just a couple of walls, and suddenly the Lee Sin and the Ezreal don't have to like use their ability to chase. They can just use it for damage at that point.
Like, everyone basically, aside from the Jarvan, hates the Onivia wall. You're all short range, you're all immobile really without the flashes, and the wall just screws you.
Pushing towards top lane now. That's such a large wall, man. King in the north.
Towards Baron we go. LNG will start that one up. They've got Ocean Soul. They've got 3 members here. The Bard and the Onivia will say you shall not pass. And they're probably right, you can't.
I'm finding it quite funny that Missing is 100% of his team's deaths right now. The only 2 deaths on the team. Teleport into mid lane from the Vayne. Feels a bit... Well, they're actually just peeling off the Baron in general, so it's not going to be Baron taken. Missing Tempered Fate. Doing, as his name suggests, there sadly won't flash away.
That's a little bit far. Needs to back off. Does about survive for now. Goes Golden, does Bulldog, and Juhan now low. Photic desperate to try and get some damage down. The shield does come on forward. Harry flashes in. Missing survives for a little bit longer. They can't finish the kill. The Sonic Wave lands mid-invisibility. Now Photic's trapped on the wrong side of the crystal. Has now to flash, but Missing's still going to hit that the Mystic shot regardless. In goes Croco. Wonderful little bit of a redirect. Does try to get a hold of Photic, but the barrier buys a bit more time. Croco keeps going, because of course he does. It's a little deep and does fall. Will now keep sieging though, as the summoners look a little bit thin on the ground from OMG.
I think, Sam, that is not just Lee Syndrome, which it definitely was. I think that's looking at the top of your screen and go, ooh, Ocean Soul, I can fight. No, that doesn't mean you can tank 3 people under an inhibitor turret. I'm Croco, my dude. Like, maybe you just wanted to make Missing feel a little more, you know, a little more, you know, happy that he's not all the deaths on his team. Catch out with the wall. Juhan actually gets a good play here. You know, it's stunned in front of the Vayne. You can get the condemn afterwards. It's good Zhonya's from Bulldog to make sure that doesn't happen. No one really managed to get value out of the Vayne Jarvan with that. And then he flashed into melee range of Croco. Didn't realize he was there, of course, but flash into melee range means that it was just instant death.
Yeah, tried to pick up Missing, didn't manage to get the kill, and the fight continued after that. Then Croco was putting on some stunts on the Lee Sin. The problem is it doesn't mean his jungle's dead, as Baron's alive. They're going to try and run at LNG here. They just can't quite get in range. Another good stun there onto Highchow, and now Shear's nearly at Mega Gnar. Can look for a potential flash play on this Gnar. Where is the Lee Sin? Not quite here in time. Juhan will throw down that golden Aegis. A little bit more safety. They'll clear up the way and go back towards this Baron.
Yeah, OMG went for that fight because I think they must have spotted Croco on a recall. He was in base. There was a brief
from the...
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Not recall. The other one. Anyway, so he was dead, so he went towards the Baron. So it's not even nearly cerebral. It's just, I forgot about death timers. Highchow on the side there, popping the vision plant. I think this is going to be dead before anyone can contest.
Yeah, likely is. Baron falls. Now LNG can go forward just that little bit more. Elder's 2.5 minutes away. Chunk there from that True Shot barrage, and Realm Warp is going to be forced to retreat from OMG to get back to base in time. They'll have an idea where they are because of that one far side alteration that Photic swiftly clears.
Yeah, LNG not going to have the inside track on pushing in a lane. Not that they had a wave in mid lane anyway, but the Realm Warp had meant that OMG would be back in time to defend. In LNG, have they done anything quote-unquote special this game? No, I wouldn't say especially. I think what they've done is just put themselves in the right part of the map to mechanically outplay. And I think when you're in Group Nirvana, which is it's a group which has a lot of these teams in desperation mode. If things go wrong, it's the end of their year. You just need something consistent to play around, and just saying we pick up good champions, high mobility, try and just outplay you in the skirmishes. That can be just a very consistent way to play when you have players the level of Croco and 1xN when they're ahead.
And they have been playing very well from that point. You've now got a 4-item Ezreal who has been landing a lot of those skill shots, forcing a lot of difficult decisions from OMG. And again, things like this in Onivia have been very difficult because walls and glacial storms like that make life for Photic very hard. Does a decent job there avoiding some of it, but Juhan again forced to back away. No option to flag and drag forward. Threatening your flag and drag gets you killed.
Gosh, he must have ended up under 100 HP there. Inhibitor's going to go down in the top lane. Mid lane's going to have a wave coming into it too. The range advantage is absurdly powerful from LNG as we've seen around. This ult missing again onto Highchow, but I don't think it'll matter. There's a Mega Gnar after.
Yeah, it does get stunned up, but they break down another inhibitor turret. The Glacial Storm again tags Photic down to half for him. Harry, no real wave clear for the Vayne, so he's just taking pot shots where he can. Next turret, one down. OMG, you've got to make a play now. There goes the final hour. That feels at the flag and drag through. Flash away from one. Missing gets the double stun though, and that means Harry's left out to dry because his flanking options were suddenly annihilated. Missing heals himself up, they can't kill the Bard, and OMG with the man down must try and fight 1xN, threatening the Endless Hunger. Scary, the cannon minion finishes up the jungler. Photic trying to get something with the Boomerang Blade, won't quite get it. There's the triple, he's going for the quadra, gets that one. Hightown needs to run away, will not get anything resembling a pentakill, but the triple will do just fine. Nexus falls, LNG do it in style.
Sometimes League of Legends is like a chess match. This one's just boxing. Hit him in the face, duck and weave a little bit. LNG come out ahead better in the fist fight. OMG, you know, they picked stuff like the Vayne. They really wanted to get ahead of the matchup, Sam. It just did not work. LNG clearly the better team here in terms of just the mechanics and the laning. I look at this game and I think, well, OMG, you've replaced this AD carry. You know, Starry did have some definite downswing moments as well, but I don't think Photic, I mean, he scaled into the late game okay, but he couldn't change that game. OMG, it just looks like a team who is just in freefall. They're making these changes, snap decisions to see if they can save their split, and I just don't see it. So I don't see the chemistry. I think that Juhan had another bad game for himself, but Reo wasn't performing well before that, so they have a problem with that jungle matchup. I don't know what OMG are going to do, Sam. They're clearly outmatched here.
I mean, Photic was fine, but not very exciting. 1xN kind of made plays around him. I also think, obviously, Moam on that Karma got caught quite a lot in the early stages, but that was kind of Croco missing, making lots of aggressive early moves, and good for them for doing that, but it didn't really lead to all that much in the grand scheme of things for OMG. And LNG, much more like what we saw from them last bit. That's more the style we'd come to expect. Aggressive early moves from the jungle, 1xN on something that can carry with a couple items, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, so that is our first game of the day done. If you've been enjoying what you listen to, and I hope you have been, welcome in. My name is Alex, this is Sam. We're actual brothers, and we're actual professional casters who are covering this on our stream because, well, there's no official LPL broadcast anymore. So we do this. So I'm going to move my cursor away from the close button on an OBS. That would have been really bad to shut that down. God, that would have been really bad. But yeah, again, professional casters here. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, please think about dropping a like, a comment, subscribe. If you're watching on a third-party site as well, if you could come through to the mainstream here, does make a big difference for us just in terms of battling the algorithm. We're actually almost at 11,000 followers. We're about 200 off of that, which would be a crazy benchmark for, you know, just two
Hit the follow button.
Two people sat in a bedroom trying to do something resembling professional esports broadcasts. And yeah, we appreciate having you along for the ride. We have a Ko-fi link if you want to drop a one-time donation. You can drop your primes and subs. It does make a big difference to us, and I hope you can continue to enjoy the rest of the broadcast. Are we twins? No, we're not twins. We're 14 months apart.
Yeah.
He's the older one.
Just about. Allegedly.
Yeah.
On the outside, on the inside, who knows?
Yeah.
I do cultivate silliness.
Let's have a look at the damage graph. That is an absurd amount from an Ezreal.
What we wondered. Yeah.
In terms of player of the game, I mean, it's between Croco and 1xN, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think Bulldog was good as well, to be fair, on that Onivia. Very annoying with the walls. Probably is 1xN. That teleport flank was pretty game-winning, and then just did a lot of damage on the Ezreal, which is kind of what you want on the whole. Also hit a lot of those good skill shots in that dragon fight that they won. So I come with a certain bias because 1xN is my boy. I believe in the player. However, that notwithstanding, I do think there are a couple good options.
I'm gonna go on a quick break.
Go for it.
Let me change the audio over, and yeah, I believe Sam to babysit you. Don't bully that, you know, the substitute teacher or whatever it is.
Oh, thank you, Initialise, for the sub at tier 1, by the way.
Wow, 56 months. That's almost a year. Appreciate you, Sam. Okay, right, let me go take my break. Oh shit, let's not pull the laptop off the side there.
That would have been bad, yeah.
That would have been pretty bad. Okay.
And this teleport was probably the one that ended up winning the game. Really, you get 3 kills, you punish the kill that Harry had just got. Otherwise, I think you might have ended up being on a snowball against the
That's a really good ball boomerang, by the way.
It is. Do I need to change the... Oh, you've changed that already, haven't you? Yeah. Also, Sam, I apparently subbed to you. Oh, thank you, Trinity. Appreciate you. Ugh. You should appreciate whoever paid for it, Lamont. Okay, I'm assuming I got gifted someone. Oh, that's very nice of them. Trying to think, it probably would have been Purple Orca, knowing Orca. It will be Croco's player of the game. That's fair. He was quite good on the Lee Sin. Congrats to Croco for that player of the game. Yeah, it was gifted from Purple. That makes sense. There you go. Not a surprise. There we go, back towards the ads we go. I shall flick the camera around and expand the camera size. Whoop. About like that. That's probably the one. Is that former OPL player, Croco? Yes. Pretty sure also ended up on Sandbox. If it's that player, then yes. Otherwise, then no. It's not. Okay, so in that case, no. This is the Sandbox player. Yeah, okay, so different Croco. In that case, ignore me. It's like if it's the one that played on Sandbox as well, then yes. If not, no. And at least I did qualify. I could have just pulled up Leaguepedia. That would have been the sensible choice. You had it open anyway. I appreciate it then. Thank you, Trinity. Oh, the pretty Elder card. I could use a quick bio break. Do you need a coffee or anything?
Yeah, actually I do.
That's fine.
I don't go to this early, but
Allow me. You streaming after this? Ugh.
No, I'm not going to do anything after games today. I've got someone has to have a chat about some stuff, an article they're writing, so I'm going to do that. So they want us to have a chat about co-streaming stuff, so I'm going to go give my perspective on it. Which is cool, because I mean, we're currently co-streaming here. Okay, did we run adverts? No, we didn't. We're going to run adverts now then, folks. And, cool. Is this former OPL player Croco? No, they played in LCK. Sorry, what's up, Sam? Huh? No, I don't think it is. This Croco played between a couple of teams in LCK. I think they're on Bro, right? Hey, Albert, thank you so much for the subscription. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Any UMA players doing their CM12 runs? Hey, Amber, how's it going? Yeah, I've been trying to do 2 fronts, 1 pace because I'm doing Christmas Augury, but yeah, I didn't really build good enough fronts in time. I was thinking about doing Saiyan, and I think I might give up on doing Saiyan and do like Bourbon Summer Marazensky because they just fight for first so much better. I think that Saiyan just doesn't have enough ways to fight for first. You know, you need an ult to fight for first, I think, which has been really kicking my butt as Saiyan, which is a problem. Oh, Croc. Yeah, Croc was a because Croc played in CBLOL, although he's gone now, I think. As in, like, he's not playing there anymore. Croc Legend of the Gorgos, right? Take camera for a bit, because I don't really like having camera on when I'm just looking at my phone, because I've got to check some stuff out, like, well, yeah, you know what I mean. Game 1 was just a total stomp. Yeah, game 1 was effectively just, you know, OMG trying the Vayne top into Gnar, and then just not getting enough out of it. Juhan had a bad game. He had a bad game. He just wasn't good enough, really. So, I think that Croco and 1xN had a really good game on Ezreal and Lee Sin. I think that LNG had 1 or 2 plays around top lane where they just managed to stop the power play of OMG trying to get ahead there, and then just the game was over, really. This game was just kind of over. So this one looks like a pretty quick 2-0. We'll see what happens with JDG versus IG as second series. But yeah, I mean, unless OMG managed to have JDG versus IG could be fire. Yeah, I guess we'll switch on to that. Yeah, JDG did break the winning streak that IG had over them since 2024, but IG are a better team than they were last split. So, I mean, I think that IG are a strong team. I think that JDG still have some issues against their kind of jungle support style of play, because I think that, look, JDG tends to lose against teams with very good jungle support synergy because they don't have jungle support synergy, really. They'll grow in that aspect, but I don't think they're I don't think that's their specialty still, right? Still got to be JDG favored. Yeah, I think their lanes are just better. I think that Honky is just gonna demolish Renard, who's just been not good enough. I think top lane is actually fine. I think that Breathe can stand up to Xiaoshu. Bot lane is fine because Mako's doing really well. So, yeah. So I think that next series is going to be pretty close. I think that'll actually be competitive. JDG advantage, but I don't think it's. I think that'll be a competitive series. This one, I mean, with Juhan playing like that, I just don't think there's. just don't think there's much of a chance here. I mean, they kind of rely on LNG making mistakes, and at that point, it's a very unsatisfying way to play. Yeah. Right, so get onto stage now. We'll change the audio back over. And we'll get ready for our second draft. Where's your brother? No. Sam was casting the first game. Don't worry about that. We're just switching breaks, right? Because I took a break at the start of the ad break, basically, and then Sam took one now. So he'll be back in. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about it. All good. Okay. Oh, and we do have a sub. We have a sub. Rayo's back. Juhan's out. So we were just saying, look, Juhan was, you know, Juhan started the year. Rayo subbed out, subbed in for him. Then Juhan came in this split to sub in for him after Rayo started inting. Now, I don't think that Rayo was particularly good last time he was in either. I mean, he was good when he came in at the start. I think last split he was really good, but he hasn't been good, like, as recently. He fell off at the end of last split, and then his first games of this split weren't good, but Juhan's out again. A reminder that, Juhan is technically, you know, he's a world champion from DRX. He actually has a world skin. You know, him and Pioshik were trading between each other, right? Yeah, Juhan was not just on DRX Academy. He is technically a world's winner, Juhan. But Rayo / ReZero, I don't know whether it's an anime reference. He's come out of, well, he's come out of like LGL and stuff, right? Yeah, no, Juhan was on the main team for DRX. He's on the main team for DRX. He went to Worlds 22 when they won. And he has I think the Maokai skin is his. The Maokai skin is his. And then Pioshik has the Kindred, of course. There's the DRX Akali, there's the Aatrox. Remember that cast where I was in Demacia Cup where I kept talking about, oh, was it ASI? I was talking about, oh my god, the World's MVP Kingen. Someone got so annoyed in the comments, they just kept pinging me to like stop talking about World's MVP Aatrox. Just talking about it too much. It's a bit much, maybe. Oh gosh. Wait, that's so funny. I just saw a clip of like a Xerath typing in all chat after someone's on low HP, getting them to type back to them, and then just ulting them while they're typing back. That's funny as heck. LNG vs OMG into our second draft. Orianna Nocturne banned away on one side and Best Varus on the other. So fairly tier listy right now. We still have Pantheon in terms of the jungle matchup. Still have our Seraphine. Still have Rumble. So we're going to get a couple of power picks through into this second draft. OMG just felt like they were kind of a bit mechanically outdone in the last game. You know, they lost a couple of plays through the top side when they picked for a heavy winning matchup of the Vayne. And then Crocker on one extent just took off on the Lee Sin and the Ezreal. So with Jace being banned away from Sheer or away from that top lane matchup, again, we're going to get Rumble, Ash, Seraphine, Pantheon through the draft. So they will be able to be, you know, power picked around. Who do I have in game 2? Well, look, realistically, LNG destroy game 1 unless OMG... Look, OMG changed junglers. I'm not sure how much it changes. I mean, he might lock in the Shinzao. The Shinzao is also up and available, and he's quite good at that one. But I mean, look, Juhan wasn't playing well. I don't think Rayo was playing well last time he was in either. So maybe it'll just be the substitute difference. The Rumble is locked in, but I don't think it's an easy game for OMG. Kasansei likely locked in because there's no Varus, no Vayne. Could have gone Cannon, I suppose. And the Shinzao for Croco as well. So they take the Croco, the Shinzao away from Rayo. He might go Vi or something now, but you don't really have the carries to know what you're going to be diving into right now. Or rather, you don't know the enemy carries you're diving into, so Vi feels a little worse on that front. You might still go for it. Something like Rise Aurora could be okay here. Sorry, via Aurora. Whereas had some pretty okay engages on that. Losing jungle matchup early though. I mean, the Shinza just beat most junglers over the head early, to be honest. I know it's a 0 though. It's just yeah. So his name is ReZero, like the anime. It's just it doesn't roll off the tongue like Rayo. Hi, chat, thinking about that Ari. I was thinking about the Aurora, but the Ari could come through as well. I don't really love Ari into Cassante. I think that Aurora is a much better pick, so you actually have damage against tanks in a way that Ari doesn't. Ari has the flex into like a Leandri's second build, where you go with Malignus Leandri's, which feels a little worse. The Lissandra in for Bulldog, which is really good against that entire top side. I mean, none of those champions like getting ulted, and you can ult yourself with the Vi Flies that use. That's a really good pickup for Bulldog. Now, your damage is pretty low, which means that 1xn could be in a single carry comp, which is a bit of an issue. But at least the Lissandra is really good against that top side. Not going to bring the full carry damage herself. Like, she can't just 1v9 a team fight in the same way that many other champions can from mid lane, like the Aurora. Nautilus is Seraphine banned away, so we're getting really down the tier list now in terms of bot lanes. We might even get towards Nico now. I think Nico starts becoming more relevant once the top tier support starts to fall off a little more. So the Nico, we said, potentially quite powerful here. Lulu, of course, too. Lulu, Milio, Lucian lanes start becoming more powerful. The Nami, banned away. So now we're looking at, like, Lucian Milio, I think, for OMG. Lucian Milio for OMG because it would cleanse away from Lissandra. I think we're probably also looking at some Nico lanes as well, because Nico provides a really good engage combo. But I think OMG want the Milio. So LNG, the interesting thing now would be, do they lock the Milio to take it away from OMG? Not because it's good versus the enemy comp, but because it stops the Lissandra getting nerfed by the Milio.
Yeah.
I mean, Lissandra can still self-ult. It's not a problem, but I wonder if you take away the Lucian or the Milio. There you go. There you go. We know our champions here.
Do you now have to Lucian as Photic? Or do you try for a Yunara Lulu kind of angle?
You don't want to Lucian Brawl into the Milio, surely. I mean, they might do, but at that point, don't you go Aphelios Milio?
Yeah, you'd be fine with that, I think. Although, again, RE Vi is pretty miserable for the Aphelios in that scenario. But hey, you do what you have to. Yunara Lulu it is.
Yunara Lulu versus the Lucian Milio then in the bot lane will be a last pick. Lucian for 1xn. So
easy lock.
Accurately called that one out. The Milio is a takeaway from the enemy team because they didn't want to have their Lissandra countered by the Milio in terms of the aggressive ultimates. LNG, I mean, they're playing against the new jungler. Rayo subbed in. A big difference there. It's a good composition from OMG. It's just whether they can play it. Last game, they were just mechanically brutalized. We're going to go into a quick ad break, folks. So if you don't see adverts, go and subscribe.
Do it.
OMG, good aggression, a good initial burst combo. I like what they're doing here. The soul engage of the Vi, not great into Lissandra or Cassandra because they can just like press W or ult themselves. I think LNG, their aggressive options are a bit more limited. Because you know, the side you have like Rumble Vi which just it kind of plays itself. LNG needs to work a little bit harder at that, but I think they've got good answers into the Vi at least.
Yeah, and I also just quite like their ability to keep a fight going with the after getting the first kill. You have the passive from Lissandra going around. Enchanter plus Xin Zhao is always very potent. Lucian to start things off as well. You have got some angles with the Cassante, the Lucian poke, Xin Zhao jumping in to try and make things happen that way. If you were playing as OMG right now, and Rayo / ReZero, yes, I know is obviously named after the anime.
I think so, anyway.
To my understanding.
What?
If you were this team, what earth do you do try and come back after a rough game like that? Because again, you're 0-2, lose this, and it's likely you're done for the year. A conversation to have after the Giles. You may answer that question now, Alex. Should you so choose?
What do you do, OMG? Well, I think one of the things was that jungle swap.
Yep.
You know, Juhan has been playing poorly recently. I don't think ReZero has been playing well at the start of this split. He was started last split. And I think you really just hope that Haichao can be your big carry. I think that Haichao is actually a very talented playmaker. I say that he has his been hit by like 3 Qs in a row.
Yeah.
Now, the Lissandra Ahri matchup, I actually think it's definitely very playable for the Ahri. You can't afford level 1 trades like this, though. It's really, really not good for Haichao, where you try and stand on the edge of this Q splash damage range. Obviously, he ended up misjudging in his positioning on the wave. You can go for some, like, airy builds. You can even go, well, we used to see some spellbook to go for cleanse at important moments. I think basically most Ahri players realize that actually having one cleanse in early games is not the meta anymore. It used to be Lissandra would ult you first time in the game and you struggle, hang on, jump forwards for the heal. Just to help picks from him, actually.
Yeah, but then unfortunately the level 2 comes on forwards, gets the barrier out of Photic and the heal out of Moam. I think LNG are quite happy with this. Sure, you lose the level 2, but you've got the summoners, they don't, and you can definitely look to go forwards here.
And a big thing about this, a lot of people overlook this about the Lucian, but if he's healed from the summoner spell, it will also give him the vigilance passive. And if you
Really?
yeah, because it's a heal.
Of course.
He gets the heal and shield. And Sam, it applies to his own barrier too. So he'll get vigilance from casting barrier and heal. So if you need the extra damage, basically your defensive combat summoners work as aggressive ones too.
Sheer gonna get jumped on there, flashes for Flash, and Harry gets out. Of course, the wave was already largely crashed in, so I think Sheer happy enough to reset here and look to pick up an early null magic mantle or something.
Something noted in chat as well, 1xn's Lucian. Now, a lot of the time we call him, you know, this Aphelios god, and I think he's one of the best Aphelios players mechanically in the world. His Lucian is probably more successful, though, because his Aphelios has bad win rate because his team was not doing very well at the time. They might go for a heal if the extra auto attack, actually.
Oh, yeah, they might. They try to get in range. The polymorph required. Marm gets a slow, but now he's getting jumped on himself. The piercing light after leaves him at about 10%. And now 1xn can potentially threaten a little further. Won't need to. And OMG forced to reset.
You can see why Lucian Milio has become, like, the hotness bot lane here in LPL.
Yeah.
Lucian Milio is actually beating out the Yunara Lulu in a way which we haven't seen many bot lanes do. There was a Scribe's Bloom used, but I mean, Vi's still going to be here. Can they dive? They are quite low HP, but in a 3v3, sure, you're losing someone.
It's Croco's going to flash away from the Vault Breaker. Might jump back in now because that Q is down. Moam's flashing to get in range for a polymorph, but there's a cozy campfire. Ro's going to have to flash, and now Haichao's potentially in danger himself. No worries about losing the wave. Missing steps forward, does a fair amount of damage. 1xn, limited mana, so needs to play his summoner spells carefully. The charm lands. Croco's now in danger, but Rayo's going to go down. First blood and the heal off the passive. Photic, Cultivation of Spirit. 1xn with the barrier. Tries to get in range for the extra auto. Now missing, forcing the flashes. Can't get in range for the last auto. Even with his flash charm goes wide. 1xn with a good relentless pursuit, and Haichao misses his own flash. A slight carnival there in the jungle, but it will be LNG come away with the kill and the better edge of the deal.
I think there are 2 critical misplays from OMG there. Charm landed onto Croco, and Rayo missed his Q onto a Charm target, so there was a Vi Q which missed onto the Shinzao. That was the big one, and then there was another one which I've actually just forgot. That one's just overtaking my mind. Well, okay, we'll look into the replay here. There's a couple of huge moments, right, where, you know, they jump back into Rayo. Mom has to flash for a polymorph that very, very, very nearly, you know, Rayo gets killed by the jumping people onto him. Watch what happens after this, though, because Missing goes alone into Tribrush. Watch what happens into the charm target here, because they get the charm onto Croco, and then misses his Q. It's huge. He misses that. It's absolutely huge. And then obviously everyone after that point kind of like has to deal with the fact that they've lost so many others. And then of course Missing misses the flash there. So maybe it was just one critical misplay there. And of course Haichao the charm flash. That's what ended up missing there before. Just after. 1xn didn't even need to use his flash, by the way. Kill went over to Croco. Jungle matchup, we said, look, Rayo, ReZero, not been playing fantastic himself, but they're just trying to give themselves a shot in the arm after Juhan had such a bad first game. And obviously Sam's not worked.
No, it hasn't. I'll also note that Bulldog got to crash the wave and roam over. Haichao dropped an entire wave and is now effectively down a level.
And down a flash as well. Down a flash. It's so hard for him to play out this game. Rayo is going into bot side, hopefully trying to punish the Lucian jumping forwards. They do have the level advantage, but there's a flash on Lucian still.
Yeah, he's got to have some idea that someone's around. Yeah, they're staying away from that bush.
Yeah, I think they've spotted that one out. They think they even put a sweeper in next. They wonder about it, but no, it's just the body language giving it away. Photic was too low. Next time the Cozy Campfire's up. That's actually a one-shot potential now from this kind of HP. There is barrier on Photic. Shouldn't die, but he might be forced away from the wave.
Yeah, Harry is getting good, decent damage on the ship. Hasn't really managed to pick up a CS lead from this. The wave's in a weird old spot top. I think it is shoving away from the Cassante right now, which is a bit frustrating because, again, that HP bar not fantastic. The problem is, of course, that LNG don't care that much about the Cassante. They're much more interested in this Lucian. and keeping Photic under wraps. He's down 15 on CS, and they're going to try and keep that sticking around that way, especially as 1xn's got a lot of this wave to pick up. The Dragon's going to get started by Croco, understandably so. You've got the Lissandra roaming as well. You don't want that fight.
Can't believe it feels very good for OMG in this situation, right? Just in general, on a meta sense, you know. You've been changing junglers back and forth. You've changed out your AD carry, who was captain of the team, Starry. He's gone now. I don't know whether he's just benched. I'd imagine he's just benched. But Photic's not been the answer here today. But how can he be after being subbed in on short order? You know, IG picked him up. Did not work very well for them. Photic keeps getting himself onto rosters. Missed time some cuts there from Zero, but whatever. Photic just not been the answer for OMG.
No.
Not yet, anyway. You know, he's a player who's had some decent upper ceilings before on stuff like Senna and Callista and a handful of other champions like that, but he's not really had the upper level of form to make me believe that it was going to be a game-changing pickup for OMG, and indeed it hasn't been.
Yeah, worth noting as well here, 1xn with the Sheen in inventory. Likely means he's going to go towards the Essence Reaver first. And Lucian first item can sometimes be a little bit of a question.
Yeah, especially with the Amelia. That's a charm, but it doesn't give tower aggro. Bulldog actually might be in danger here. Now Rayo can go over the wall, flash away. Oh, Bulldog, my dude. Only saved by missing coming up the lane. Not great from Bulldog, but he doesn't have to ult himself at least.
Doesn't have to. It was a little bit dicey for a second or two there, but he's all right. And now actually looking for something more. Can't quite find it.
Yeah, just looking for... Well, what he was looking for was the back cancel, which he does get there. So credit to him. Does manage to get that one. Herald up in 30 seconds. Wants to make sure that Bulldog's a little bit slower on the map to set up for that. So let's just check in across the lanes. Top lane is even. Jungle, kill advantage to Croco. Farms even, so he has himself a bit of a lead from First Blood. Mid lane, 10 CS leads a Bulldog. That's kind of nasty. No plates in mid lane, despite the fact that he stuck around to hit that turret a little bit. Then bot lane is starting to be a problem. You're right, it is the Essence Reaver. We've occasionally seen stuff like the Kraken Slayer, but I think this is such a bursty game. You understand why that he's trying to go in for the very quick one shot, because the continued uptime of the Kraken Slayer can be quite hard to get off against the Vi combo.
Yeah, and I mean, we are ways past it now, but again, did see the Ardent Blaze start on the Lucian, not the Piercing Light. I know that's obviously a little bit more free cast, can hit multiple people with it. Croco does face check Zero here, gets knocked up by that 3 Talon Strike. Wind becomes lightning. This might be a bit of a tricky spot, has to queue away, and I think at that kind of health bar, LNG can either steal this Gromp or look to start dragging, because if you steal the Gromp, there is no way that the Vi has any way to heal, and also you just get to take a camp away.
Dude, Shin's out passive is not fair.
It's ridiculous.
Shin's out passive is the reason this champion is really broken. Sam punched the microphone for you, you know, chat, mic punch enjoyers in chat. I'm sure there are many of you who, you know, revel in the blood sports we have here. You know, the XLRs are just like tangled everywhere now.
Shout out to probably my greatest line of all time, blood sports in the digital age.
Oh, that was wonderful. Yeah. It's yeah. Cyber gladiatorial nature.
Well, ReZero will start up the Grubs. I think that's a fair trade. I think as it stands, LNG much more interested in playing around dragons and the like. Of course, actually, the second one hasn't been spawned yet, so realistically, just giving that up, especially with the Rumble being as annoying as they can. Instead, Bulldogs roaming. They've got a couple wards, but they are going to be very late notice. Haichao is coming, but again, no ult for 5 seconds. Needs to be here now. There is a teleport angle. Over the wall we go. Looking for potential play. They get polymorph and pull off it. Happy enough with the teleport summoned. Yeah,
so Haichao blows the TP. LNG waste a bit of time, but that's it. They get to keep themselves in bot jungle. He can jump onto Haichao here. He does have ult. But...
Well, there's the charm. Is he going to force ult? There's 3 Talon Strike. Moam coming. Does have Wild Growth. Bot lane. The play happens onto Photic. Heal now forced. Culling out as well. Photic left desperately low after that one. Ult and Summoner's blown in general. Worth noting, Vidal. Oh, never mind that. Flash from Croco gets the Wild Growth as well. Last charge out. They're going to be delayed on that reset, and another wave lost bot. ReZero at least got a hold of those Grubs. That's it.
Yeah, 1xn will be able to get himself a plate off of this bot lane too. Another wave lost. So OMG, it's just going from bad to worse in this bot lane situation. 1xn and Missing have totaled Photic and Moam, who, you know, Starry and Moham actually went pretty even last time we saw them versus 1xn and Missing. From what I remember from earlier in the year, LNG, they're just out-brawling themselves. I don't think LNG are doing anything crazy special. I think Croco's just running at them like a lunatic, which he tends to do, and he does quite well at that actually style. Bulldog has ult, doesn't have flash. I think he's currently in a 1v3, but quite hard to jump on Lissandra with ult. Unless you 100 to 0, she just ults herself and normally a teammate comes around.
Or she W's one, then ults the other and just sort of walks away. Be quite challenging on that front. Either way, the Crash comes on in. 1xn's 1,000 gold up. That's always going to be a terror. I'm looking at Photic as well. There's no cull or anything to mitigate that, so that is just going to stick, bluntly.
And actually, a huge thing as well, which we don't always talk about, look at the quest progression in the top of your screen. Bot lane quest is so far off from Photic. 1xn very far ahead.
Yeah, a lot of that is basically off being zoned off like 2-3 waves. Bluntly, Croco's back on this Gromp. He's never leaving. At least ReZero has now picked up Sundered Sky, can match the Shins out on that front, can maybe look to fight over this Gromp, but realistically that'll be a smite on that. Dragon's up, by the way, so second Dragon and a conversion of that bot lane pressure into objectives would be my suspicion of LNG's plan. Croco is on a ward right now, worth noting.
Yeah. So first item for spikes are going to be really, really scary. Now, typically, you would think OMG had the better first item spike. You've got that top side, just so good at it. But I with the gold lead already in, with the Shins out, getting ahead in the jungle matchup, I just don't think the one item spike from OMG is going to be easy to pull off. They're going to teleport in. Croco has ult. He's going to flash for the combo.
Croco doesn't have his own flash right now, so I think he might just be dead here.
He didn't pop his ult.
Missing's going to have to flash.
I mean, Croco just doesn't pop his ult. I mean, he was within range of the Ahri, but no flash there. Should have just pulled the Crescent Guard, died as the animation came off. Bulldog ulted the Vi to try and stop the combo coming through. So OMG, credit to him, get a kill onto Croco, but you've got to imagine that Croco is the one to blame for that.
Missing went into the pit to try and get the Breath of Life from across the wall as well, so he's down that ult. Gonna get a good chunk there onto Photic and to Moam, so both of them are half HP, so at least something, I suppose, but that was a little bit ugly, it has to be said. Of course, the teleport was summoned there to get into range. That gave Sheer a little bit of time topside, but still, not exactly what you want to see from LNG then. From the other side for OMG, nice work, just punishing that jungler there. And making sure that they stop the dragon stacking against what was a problem on the bot side of the map.
No, Hydra gets himself on a ult Hunter stack, so he gets himself 2 Dark Seal stacks. He's pretty happy with this. No, Hydra getting a kill from the early game in a game like this, pretty important. In terms of the build which Hydra should go, I almost wonder if you have to go for a slow burn build, but with this team, you're kind of looking for big one-shots.
You afford that into Lissandra Milio, though?
Yeah, well, the thing about Lissandra is, well, Lissandra, sometimes you can full burst her out. I mean, the Malignance is kind of a given. And if you start Magi snowballing, anything's a given, right? But it's quite a hard game to play out as the R in terms of your itemization. We just think, well, I've got to kind of one-shot someone before the Lissandra and the Milio kind of turn a fight around. It's very difficult. I think you probably have to go for full one-shot, very efficient damage.
Yep, I agree.
Harry going back towards that top side. Not too ill towards his first item yet. Neither top lane are really getting involved with the game so far. Just kind of neutralizing each other tends to be the way of things unless you have particularly psychopathic top laner. Sometimes Flandra will come and roam down to early plays. He's one of our better players of that in the LPL. Quest's about to get completed by LNG in totality, ahead in mid lane as well, and bot lane quest has been completed for a while. Photic still doesn't have his. He's 40 CS down, Sam. Yeah, that is a problem. And again, we have nearly got what looks to be a rapid fire second from 1xn. I think in this game you can probably justify it to try and just get out, stay out of range of things like the Charm, threaten things like the Yunar, who is just shorter range than you. Look for the chunks there with Missing, who's going to extend your range even further. Reo snuck into bot side. 1xn does have barrier and flash, but they don't know the Vi's here.
They don't. They've tried this play earlier. They've gotten a little bit complacent. They've got to make a play elsewhere. Photic gets ulted. Welcome to the Frozen 2. Knockup comes on down. Can't quite get the kill. TP in. Turnaround play. That's too far from LNG. Decent route there. The Breath of Life. Missing stays alive. Hightower's now potentially in danger as 1xn gets jumped and can start to trade back though. Health bars look really low. Flash Frost, Ring of Frost rather, comes on down. Reo looking for the charm. Oh, Hightower looking for the charm rather. Can't quite find what he's looking for. I doesn't have that ability. Either way, health bar's low, but OMG do get the kill.
1xn just flashed away just at the end there. Important summoner blown. Reo, 2 good plays out of vision now, or rather 2 big engage plays from him that have gone well. Did have that 1 vision play earlier in bot lane, which didn't work out. This one does. However, problem is, you still don't end up shutting down 1xn. I actually think OMG could have lost another 2 kills there in worst case scenario. Initial play, Croco, look, Croco's doing his thing, where again, he will just occasionally just full send it. Jumps in, has his Q stacked up, but he's tanking, what, 3 towers? He dies because he takes 3 tower shots. That's why he actually dies there.
And I think also he just doesn't respect that Reo comes out of the bush and just CCs him under the turret, so you can't do that burst into trade out. And then very nearly they get 2 at the back end of this. Can't quite do it. Haichao gets the charm onto Missing, but not onto Xen.
I don't think he lives even if Reo doesn't jump at him. I think that Ahri just goes inside the ult and he kills him. And he just took 3 tower shots. I think Croco just makes a couple of bad decisions the last couple of fights. Like we said, the bot river. I mean, this thing about Croco, right? He's just a guy that will play very, very aggressively, very disrespectfully at points, but if he does get away with it, he snowballs like no one else.
Yeah, and I do get that potentially if the Vi wasn't there, Clocker can say, look, I'll trade my life to get this turret and a couple kills. If we go 2 for 1 plus turret, it's worth it. If I can full send with this, get loads of stuff out of Photic, we're happy enough. That isn't what happened, though. It still ends up being net neutral, I want to say. Basically because actually they were still forced to back off. Photic is still the one who drops more gold. They still drop this turret. And 1xN is now in a horrifyingly strong position. For all, they did get 1 kill back. And Haichao is now 2-0 on the RE. That's something to work with.
Yeah, it's 2 kills onto the same targets and not a second Ultimate Hunter stack. It does have the 4 Dark Seal stacks. Looks like he's going towards potential Proto Belt, which I would really hate to see. I think Proto Belt, you can't afford to do this game, Sam. I think that you need efficient damage. Like I was saying, I mean, basically the problem with the RE this game is that you've got a bunch of people who needs to get one shot before either Lissandra ult comes in or the Milio healing comes in. I think going for someone like a Proto Belt means that you have a couple of extra charm angles, but I think it's a big mistake. I think you need efficient damage here in this game, Sam. I think it could be Haichao throwing away potential win condition from that Ahri, but then again, I think a lot of Ahri players struggle with that.
Flash was blown in the replay, by the way, as a little vision bait. All these little channels on the sides of mid lane are very threatening if you lose vision control, especially into people like Lissandra, and the flash off that Lulu, theoretically quite punishing. Bulldog in danger of being jumped on. What happened? Dragon has spawned. Last time was a bit of a mess for LNG, but they're here in force and they want to play this out.
And again, you can't really jump onto the Lissandra herself right now, but she just ults herself. So she's okay to be on that angle, especially with everyone else being able to dash into position. Shields coming through from the footwork there. Dragon started by LNG. OMG potentially looking to engage.
1xN's got barrier, no flash. TP now coming on in. They got the Dragon. Sheer will W away from some of that CC. They're caught in the pit with the equalizer, though. Healing is stood from the campfire. Missing. Needs to potentially back out here. They're going to go in and do a lot of damage. Look at Photic at the back end of this. Doing quite a lot of work himself. Sheer into the backline. Goes all out. Should likely drag down the Lulu. CC flashes to get that kill. Harry in danger as the Rumble desperately tries to get to 1xN. Trades it out the Frostborn. Well, the Frozen Subjugation does some serious work. They head towards the mid lane. Flash from Rail to get the punches. Flash frosted, though. Heal from Missing. And everyone stays alive. The wind becomes lightning. Rail needs to run away. Mid lane turret will fall.
Sam, I think that's the best Milio team fight I've ever seen in my life.
It was ridiculous.
Milio ends up, like, surviving the initial play, hopping in the Herald, knocking up 3 people, destroying mid lane turret.
I missed that because I was looking at
and then living. I think Missing might have had the best team fight from Emilio I've ever seen in my life. We'll get a replay. Surely we'll get a replay. Watch what happens. Just look. I know important stuff happens on the top side of like. Just look what happens with Emilio, because like initially, you know, on the other side of the fight, not in the happiest of positions either, because you know gets roasted by the by the Rumble. Hops into the Herald after flashing and ulting. Then watch what happens here. Goes straight the way through the team fight, gets 1, gets 2, gets 3 knockups, and then goes into mid lane, getting the shield killing out the Herald too. Missing my tooth, that's like the most aggressive Milio I've seen in my life.
Oh, man, I was busy watching Sheer run at the Lulu, was kind of where I started. I think that's going to be an important thing, and I just kind of like wasn't able to articulate Missing going on a Tokyo Drift elsewhere. Also, it's Iceborne Subjugation, not Frostborn Subjugation. I was trying to remember a Lissandra passive off the top of my head. I do apologize on that slight misnaming of the passive.
Oh yeah, most important thing which happened there. Oh yeah, don't worry about it.
It bothers me because I love the ability name. It's a cool name.
Turret's gonna go down on top side. Dragon, of course, is won by LNG, and they have themselves a huge lead. We're getting into a point again where like OMG are in a position when they have to fight from the trenches. Again, it's achievable because you have a binary combination. They are going to 1xN. That's exactly what we're talking about.
The Trampoline block, he gets out with the Breath of Life. Rail gets Wild Growth to get the additional knockup. Can't quite get the kill. TP in, actually. Rail gets out. Missing left low. 1xN left low, but alive.
I mean, it's good summoners blown by OMG, and they don't lose anyone for it. Still a 1 play for OMG.
Bulldog.
Gonna come over the wall. Doesn't have flash. Chooses not to follow that frozen path.
Worth noting, there are a number of wards. You're kind of spotting out some of what LNG want to do, and that's a thing with the Lucian. You do want to make sure you have as much vision control through mid lane to make those aggressive moves, especially with collapse champions like the Lissandra, like the Shinzao, who want to be coming off those flank angles as 1xN jumping forward with the cozy campfire and stuff on top of it.
I know that we were talking about item builds for Lucian earlier. It is the Flicker Blades, not the 5 cannon second.
Yes, that makes sense.
Now, we did see, particularly when Lucian Milio first came out, in fact, at that point, we saw Bloodsong Lucian, because that was double support item meta. where you'd have, you know, Milio going towards his first item. Sometimes you see the Imperial Mandate for him just to empower the Lucian going forwards. And then you'd have, like, first strike will press the attack, and then you'd have Fire Cannon, Blood Song, and like Essence I can't remember if it was a Sheen at that point. We'd have like a Sheen item, and Lucian would just double tap you with a crazy long range auto because the Campfire and then the Fire Cannon would both extend your range. But I think Lucian, just in general, is if you're not enchanted, the best build for Lucian is often Essence Reaver plus Flick and Blades, because it allows you to get through so many Sheen procs. Sometimes Kraken Slayer is better at points, it's better consistent damage. Because if you hit the same target, it does ramp up the on-hit damage from the Kraken Slayer. Might have a fight in mid lane here. Bulldog's definitely looking for it. Doesn't have flash, but it doesn't step far enough forward, so I don't think they can look for it.
They've got an idea, so I think the last didn't hit anyone. So they know the ward now put down mid lane, cleared out the control ward, looking to just rest as much control as they can. A minute or so until next dragon. It would be a Chemsoul point. What do I think about Chemsoul this game? Actually, there's a fair amount of healing and shielding. You've got the Milio on your team, so not the end of the world here. Actually, a bit of tenacity into people like this Ahri. Limited amount of CC from OMG. Probably fairly valuable.
Yeah, important item built up as well. Croco's gone for the Titanic Hydra second, and in this game, I don't think it's about Croco getting picked off first, despite the fact that he has the 2 deaths in his team. At this point in the game, I do think it is OMG running at the Lucian. So what Croco wants to do is have that kind of like very quick to hand peel, where if the Vi or the Ahri jumps in, he can quickly get the knock up, one auto attack earlier on his Q, because that Hydra Titanic can give you that auto attack reset and very quickly give you the ability to get that Q knock-up. Dragon's up now, be that 3rd dragon for LNG, also helping the Milio's healing shield power, which is not something which OMG want to get out of hand.
Yeah, look, top side of the map is largely OMG's vision control. They've got a good ward in that line bush. Good ward by the way the turret fell. Won over by their Raptors, just trying to find a pocket to threaten the Lucian from. They know where a lot of those wards are, though, do LNG. Harry also managed to find an angle. Not bad from OMG to at least get a line of vision to sort of set a foundation from. Watch ReZero. Over the other side, though, Croco threatening with the wind becomes lightning. Forces Harry to scrap shield away the culling. Going to do a decent job of tickling 1 or 2 members. Here we go. Jumping onto 1x, and there's a breath of life. Stays alive for a second. The wild growth comes on down. They try to kill him off. Missing survives. 1x though is dead. That's important. Sheer goes all out. Does kill off the jungler, but he likely dies 2 for 1 for OMG.
They jump onto the Lucian. They get him. The Lysandra ultimate I don't think was good enough from Bulldog. Sheer does his job. He body blocked the charm, but Rayo and Haichao get their man, and 1xN goes down. This is the problem with LNG's composition. They are kind of a Lucian or bust team, and in this case, Sam, it's bust. OMG hit the target, so LNG gonna lose the dragon, lose a lot of their gold lead, and that's a big reality check. The culling didn't get enough done. That's the big thing which started this. The culling didn't do enough, and Croco uses too many of his cooldowns here too. What happens with 1xN? Because he still has his dash available, and Rayo slips out of vision, gets onto him. It is a good body block from Sheer, who gets in the way of the charm, flashes into it even, but there's just too much. And I think that Bulldog ends up not really getting himself into the right position. He kind of ends up going, wow, I mean, God, what the hell even happens there? I think else the Vi after the combo's already come down. I think that he should have flashed into the enemy team and gone for his own CC. I think Bulldog clumps too much, and he ends up not really having the slap back, which LNG were looking for.
It's a 3-man wild growth as well to get the knock up there. Everyone's trapped on top of the equalizer. Like, you got the AoE you were looking for. Good work there from OMG. Had to burn a fair amount to make it happen. Of course, 3 flashes to secure just the Lucian there. He will have the flash back up for the next one. Still a good play from OMG to even the game up a little bit.
And a lot of that gold has gone into high chest pockets. And as I was saying, look, he needs to be at 1-shot potential. He has 9 stacks on the Dark Seal now. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the Protobelt build here. I think that it kills a lot of your ability to 1-shot when you're on the way in, because your job is clearly 1-shot the Lucian. That's your job here. I think if you'd gone for, you know, some of the Shadow Flame second, especially because you've got a lot of people stacking up over it. You've already got the Blood Letters coming in from the Rumble to get some extra magic as this shred in there too. I think it would help his job. Now, it still might work out anyway. Let's be honest, the Lucian, especially if you don't have the barrier and the Milio's not got all their buttons available, is very assassinatable. I'd like to see that more efficient damage coming out of Haichao.
Yeah, somewhat agreed there. Can be pretty frustrating. Of course, ReZero just full send. It's his job. Die to kill the Lucian every time. Got that dragon as well. Stop the soul point from LNG. Good vision control from OMG was partly what started that as well. We saw that line of wards, called that out. It allowed this Vi to be threatening an LNG, having the easiest time of contesting those right now.
So OMG, I mean, they're in a much better place than they were even just a couple of minutes ago. It's a good engage from Rayo, and we did say that Juhan struggled. Rayo, ReZero, we haven't been as impressed with him recently as we were compared to his debut. These are the two items now, still 1,000 gold behind. LNG, we said that their aggressive options aren't very easy to pull off, and I think that's what we saw in that last fight. It's kind of 1xN looking for the culling, or Bulldog with a crazy flank out. It's quite hard for them to find big aggressive angles without that.
He has Infinity Edge now, though, which makes things a little bit scary again. The Equalizer's going to land, back away from missing. That's dangerous. The Breath of Life comes on down for the heal. There is the Ari, you're right. Glacial Path from Bulldog away. He's some knockback with that Blaze kick, though. Prevents Rayo getting on in. Sheer potentially at danger. Just gets a footwork away.
Getting back towards mid-turret. That's a lot of cooldowns expended, though, from OMG. They end up using the teleport from the Ari and the Equalizer. Those are big parts of the damage. I think if Harry doesn't have the Equalizer, a lot of the damage goes with the damage onto Mohan, takes him down to half HP. The prize of a big enough fight would be the Baron. Do LNG without the Equalizer up now? Do they think they can head over to it? They can tank up and heal. I think that they might have to reset because they're on half HP right now, but OMG, if they misplay like that again, there is a chance of Baron getting started by LNG without their cooldowns being available.
Yeah, that is going to be pretty alarming. And again, the fact you've got the Infinity Edge in does make things quite scary. I suspect we're building towards what I would imagine would be the Lord Dominic's regards last, but we'll see what that choice will be from 1xN here. Not last, but fourth. I suppose there is an outside angle of something like an Immortal Shield Bow, just to say, look, my job here is to survive, and getting that Immortal Shield Bow would help me do that. See what the decision is here from 1xN. At the very least, it is a crit cloak item, so understandable they're looking to get towards as much crit as possible. 1xN picking up the red buff as well. Always feels pretty good.
Yeah. High Chow close towards that death cap is going to be so important for them. To get towards death cap, I think that's when High Chow can start doing some proper one-shotting.
Definitely can on that. Wonder why we've gone towards his American accent, but here we are. Proper. You know, you're right. You were West Coast already. I don't know why it went that way.
You're just okay.
I think it's because I've been listening too much to that Old Gods of Appalachia podcast.
Oh yeah, true. Sam listened to his horror podcast.
Yeah, it was a good bit.
Very cool. Very cool. Right, Rayo's going on an extended flank angle. I don't think he's going to find anything here. He's trying to keep himself out of vision. Ari's now up here. There's a chance that they could actually pick someone up here. They're going to jump onto High Chow, though. I don't know if Fi's going to be here in time. Actually gets out of range of the ultimate.
Oh, they know.
Santa, and they've spotted ReZero.
He needs to run away. He could potentially hit the turret on the way. That might be one. Just punch the turret. Take it while you're there.
I don't think he can. It doesn't activate the crystallize unless the minions are there. He can't kill it at that point, so Rayo's going to have to try and die. Well, can he try and survive? Crocker finds him. He's going to die.
That's a problem. 25 seconds until soul point. Baron's up as well. They're going to try and keep him alive for as long as possible to really punish that death time. But for the first time, the flank comes back to bite him.
That sucks for ReZero. Look, he's been really creative this game. I think you have to be if you find that creative engage onto the Lucian in range of the Equalizer or the Ari. I think that ends up being a one-team fight. Jungler's dead, though. I think Baron's going to go with it, and that's going to be the game falling out of OMG's favor.
They've got the Lissandra clearing the wave in mid lane. They need to fight. It needs to be a good Equalizer here. 20 seconds still on the Vi. Little chunk there onto Bulldog, who spots Harry out on the flank. Can maybe look for something here, Mohan, with a potential Wild Growth and a Polymorph just behind that Rumble. Will dissuade that play. Here we go, looking for a play on the High Chow. Just get chunked a little bit there. As the charm lands, won't be able to follow that up at all.
So scary, actually, the fact that they're landed there. Jumping onto Harry, gets the Wild Growth. Rayo only respawning now. They're still, remember, at a disadvantage in numbers on the map. No one dies, though, and suddenly, I mean, the dragon is alive. LNG would like that, but it is an even-numbered fight again now.
Wild Growth and heal down for the flash on Croco. Can potentially look at this dragon, though. That'd be soul point plus everything else. Haven't been able to go back and buy, of course. Didn't get that much gold from the last few minutes. So outside of the Baron, so my suspicion is dragon, reset, shove.
Thank you for the sub there as well, Cap Schubert. Appreciate you. Dragon goes down to LNG. That's the third one, threatening that soul later. They'll reset, use the rest of their Baron buff. OMG kind of need to get a play before the Baron starts to break their base. If they manage to stop the Baron push, then again, it kind of resets the game into, well, we'll see if Vi can get a creative engage onto the Lucian. One of the things about the Lucian is that you don't go something like a Zhonya's. You can never go a Zhonya's on Lucian very easily. There is technically an AP Lucian build, but you know, it's not something which, say if you're into a Varus. Varus, even as AD Varus, can go towards his Zhonya's later into the game because he has enough AP scalings to make it work. Deathcap is in for High Chow. He does have 9 Dark Seal stacks. They're also getting amped up by the Deathcap as well. He is strong. If he can get onto the Lucian, Charm Flash angle, or you know, try combing up with the Equalizer and the Vi Ultimate too. Yeah, there is still a winning team fight angle for OMG, but the Baron buff makes it much harder to find an angle in the first place.
Again, it really is. Can you blow up this Lucian and do so cleanly? getting harder and harder because things like the GA is now done for Croco. You've got the Arm Guard in for Bulldog. He's got an Oblivion Orb as well for that AoE anti-heal. Lucian at this point as well, just getting to those higher levels. There's all the tools from Emilio to keep him alive. It's not that simple, especially if 1xN can just threaten things like the Eye before she gets to jump on forward. She's now at harm. The Culling's coming on down, forced to ult and wild growth away. Can't really turn around. There's decent turnaround back, but 1xN gets a lot of safety with a breath of life, and goodbye, Vi.
There you go, that'll be the play which ends the game. OMG forced to be defensive away from the culling, and it meant that when Ren 3-0 looked for the play, there was nothing left to clap back with. They'll have to go for another respawn, another attempt in another life. 3-0, somewhat of a specialty of that, I suppose, but OMG won't have that today, won't be here in this reality. They're going to go 0-2.
Might well go 0-2 and 0-3 in series core. Only 2 more matches to play. It is edging closer and closer to the inevitability of not playing in summer. That's not what they want. They've got to hold this last Nexus turret desperately here. A man down, and it's just looking next to impossible. The health bar's not awesome. Charm comes on the Croco, the breath of life is there. All out from Sheer, who gets another couple. Lucian is the one who secures at least a triple. Nexus falls. LNG 2-0. 1-1 in series for them, and OMG languishing at 0-3.
LNG win on their home stage. Of course, one of our teams with our arenas here in Suzhou. For them, they'll get themselves their win. They were currently 0-1. This is only their second series this split. Nirvana plays quite few and far between games here in the LPL. OMG, a team which has now played 3 of their 5 series. They are 0-3. They've taken a game, but they are not in a position where we think they can climb out of bottom 2 very easily now. Let's look at the let's go look at the full table actually for Nirvana while we're at it. I just realized we looked at Tarzan stats before that. Ingrid, Nirvana, they are 0-3. Ultra Prime 0-1. LNG now 1-1, and everyone else is 1-1 or 2-0.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the point where OMG has 2 series left. It's looking quite hard for them to climb out of bottom 2. I think right now our bottom 2 is looking like Ultra Prime and OMG, unless something drastically changes. OMG, they tried to bring in the changes. It doesn't look like it's been that successful for them. They switched out Juhan mid-series, and yes, ReZero was better than him in game 2 than he was in game 1. It's not enough, Sam. I think OMG are in a really, really rough position.
They need Ultra Prime, EDG, LNG, one of these 2 realistically to drop a lot of games here. I just don't know how that's going to happen.
Well, they need 2 of them to drop a lot of
exactly.
games.
Yeah. They need a few of them to do that. Maybe, I suppose, it collapsed from LGD and Thundertalk to see a lot of teams tied at that 2-win mark, but I think it's tricky, and they need to win their next 2 series, basically.
Yeah, and that's the big problem for OMG. So they've already played against LGD, they lost that. Well, they're the 2-0 team, that's one thing. They've lost against TT, that's a 2-0 team as well. I suppose you can say, well, if they face Ultra Prime, that'll be a battle between 2 teams which have also not found their stride so far. LNG, they just lost against them, and then EDG being the last remaining team that they're yet to face. So you can say, well, maybe they've faced their hardest opponents so far.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know exactly how that'll work out, but OMG are in a position where they might have 2 years in a row where they're missing about 7 months of play.
Yeah.
Which is
awful.
Very hard situation for them. Very hard situation for them. LNG walk away with a victory. We're moving on to our second series of JDG versus IG, but of course we'll have some player of the match, player of the series, player of the game, player in the series, and then of course we'll have our interview as well with the winner interview on stage. So before we get into JDG versus IG, second series of the day, that's going to be really nice there to see these 2 teams, which I think are kind of like dark horses, I think. I mean, JDG, of course, second from last split. They've fallen down in terms of their play a little bit in this one, especially with top esports rising right up to the top of the table too. We do actually have JDG and IG as 2 like mid-table teams with the potential to push further. We get to see who's ahead of the other one here today.
Yeah, that's the way we will be trekking that one out. Thank you again for Hot Wheels for coming on in here. Sad you feel like poop. I might be an OMG fan. Either way, bad day for you in that case. We need a fun fact to bring them back.
Do you want a fun fact or an unfun fact? People have been... We need to... I'll add in an extra command for unfun fact. I'll do that at some point.
I did the mango flies. It was the really
the bot
one.
flies. Yeah. Nasty. Yeah, they're nasty. Let me have a think.
Also, hello, Rapton Set.
Appreciate you as well. And a reminder, folks, if you're watching on any of our streams, my name's Alex, this is Sam. We do this for a living. If you'd like to support us, please think about dropping a like, a comment, subscribe. It does help us with the algorithm. And of course, dropping something like a one-time donation on the Ko-fi or dropping a subscription over on Twitch makes a lot of difference to us, because again, we're not paid to do this. We do this because we're good at it, 1, and 2, we're very experienced at it, and 3, it deserves a cast like this. There's no official broadcast for the LPL anymore, so this is what we got. You wanted a rhyme.
Do you want a fun fact and a rhyme?
Sure.
So, in the Avatar The Last Airbender Magic the Gathering set, there is a card called Sokka's Haiku, within which the text of the card is in fact a haiku.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I realized why the other day why the LPL Hue app might have gone off. It was these 2 buttons here. Must have got hit. I remember I put them in for ad reasons, I think.
Right.
Turn it off if you saw that ad or something like that. I think that's why. That'll be why.
Right,
So we must have just, one of them must have got a hit.
That probably me. I was like, how did I do that? Because I was like, I didn't touch anything on that.
All good. I just realized that now. Do you need a break for anything?
Is it a real one or a sock one? It's actually a real one, sadly. So it is not a fake haiku. It's a real 575.
Real
haiku.
fake haikus here. You get your real fake haikus here.
No, it is a real haiku. It's not fake. It reads, counter target spell. Draw a card, then mill 3 cards. Untap target land. As you can see, 5, 7, 5. There you go. Boom. Fun fact and a rhyme. How's that one?
That's very good, Sam. I'm happy for you.
You what? It's a high Q. It's a high Q. Yeah, there's no. That's what it is. You're right. Did you say something, Alex?
No, I didn't. Okay, we'll switch over the. Oh, I did ask you wanted a break. That's what I've done. Yeah. That's one thing. Sorry, folks. My brain's not completely there today. Actually, I might just take a break myself again. I just need to like. So we'll get ourselves. We're gonna have the winners interview and stuff. Okay, hang on. I'll switch the audio back then. I'll leave you the interview.
首先，恭喜苏州 LNG 获得了本场比赛的胜利。我们请到了辅助选手 Missing 进行我们赛后采访，来向大家打个招呼吧。
Hello， 大家好，我是 LNG 的辅助 Missing。
好，欢迎 Missing 啊！今天我觉得2场比赛打得非常精彩且出色。先问一个题外话的问题，刚刚在上台之前啊 ，Missing 都说，哎，嗓子都要喊哑了。我看这个语音沟通当中你也一直在说话，是一个什么情况呢？
就是很久没打比赛了吧，然后就大家沟通比较密切。
哎，就沟通的更密切一些，包括作为辅助选手，包括作为队长呢，肯定要承担更多的一个指挥的这样一个作用哈。那也想问一下，游戏内当中第一把我觉得特别精彩和漂亮，就是对方上路是选择了 VN 嘛，然后去打纳尔，所以这是一个比较明显的 counter。那这个时候你的巴德发挥了很关键的前中期作用，就帮助 Share 缓解了好几波的攻势。就在面对这个情况的时候，你自己前期玩的时候思路就怎么去规划？
因为现在上路对局很容易出现这种敏感的吧，然后 巴德的话，我就是发挥他这个英雄特性嘛，就是多去帮助队友走。
哎，多去帮助队友啊，那果然也是缓解了谢尔的压力。这样呢，到了中期之后，我觉得纳尔也是成功的站出来了。那么来到第二把，第二把呢，其实我觉得你们下路对线打的还是非常凶狠的，包括前期也帮助打野就建立下了一个节奏。就当时前期的时候，自己是怎么去考虑的？就要打一个强对线吗？
就是我们这种蓝辅对局练得比较多吧，然后知道我们什么时候要打，什么时候叫打野过来这样。
明白，就更知道自己的一个强势期的节点在哪里，所以也更知道什么时候去喊一下自己的队友打野来帮一帮。那我印象特别深的其实是第二把当中的第3条龙之后的那个团战，我就看见你的米利欧在侧面一个人拦住了3个人，然后兰博过来单防你，把你打残之后，你闪现过墙上了先锋，然后撞起了3个人，再撞了一塔。我特别想问一句，就当时你闪现过墙是闪现之后发现了那个先锋，还是全都设计好了？
首先现在这个版本的先锋就是用来打这种团的嘛，然后当时就是想着尽可能吃多技能，然后闪现上车。
哦，就已经规划好了，先多吃点技能，然后马上闪现上车，这个规避一下。那我再递一下，问一下这个问题。那当时这个是提前跟这个先锋就已经，比如说跟打野就沟通好了，要早点团战之前我们就放出来嘛？因为其实谁放慢1秒，你都不一定上去。
因为那波他们要接嘛，所以就是这个先锋肯定要用来打架，这样我们相当于是6个人打4个，还能保一手这种残血上车这样。
明白。
对。
但我觉得很关键是，其实我当时看到是刚好你闪现之后，其实那个先锋也刚刚好出现，我觉得反应特别快，也像一个临场的判断。那我们再问下一个问题，后续其实关键的节点应该就在于这个大龙之前了，你们抓住了对方打野的一个机会，然后紧接着去 run 掉大龙，再转上加速推进。那发现了那个机会之后，你自己就怎么去密切的跟队友沟通了？
那不就是我们看到那个位突然漏了一下嘛，就是因为他们正面打团是接不过我们嘛，所以我们就一直提防他绕后这样，所以就那不就是逮住了嘛，逮住了我们就正常打，就拿了大龙就退了。
明白，其实也是提前的做了一些预防啊，就是猜到对方的位呢肯定会绕后去找机会配合狐狸，所以也是防住了且把握住了。那今天呢，同样也是拿到了第2赛段的首胜，也不容易。但我觉得今天打的是非常漂亮的。我觉得作为队长，可能在这个赛段当中，你希望大家彼此之间能够达到的一些小目标，或者做得更好的方向有些什么呢？
因为上一场也是输了嘛，而且我们这个涅槃组的话比赛特别少，间隔很长，就是我们只能就是平常训练赛的时候再认真积极一点，多有一些备案，然后比赛上面才能下限提高吧，然后希望可以，后面比赛多赢下来。
对，肯定还是内心希望能够多赢几场。那也在平时的训练赛的机会当中呢，勤训练，然后把握住每一次上场的这个机会。那也辛苦 Missing 进行我们赛后采访了，嗓子也确实有点哑了，好好休息。那今天去享受这场胜利。那我们的赛后采访环节到这里就告一段落了，接下来把时间交还给解说席。
So I don't know how long Sam's been speaking with the mic off.
I didn't realize the mic had been turned off, I'm not gonna lie!
Yeah. Well, Sam, what happened was in the interview I said like, oh, and the mic's off.
I missed that bit.
And I think
I
basically
faded out. Oh my
Well, I think that Sam
days.
is.
I just don't mute the mic. That's why.
I do because sometimes I want to give like just ask you stuff off camera or whatever, and I don't want to interrupt the interview. So sometimes there's stuff there. When it's interviews, I tend to do that. It's all good. It happens to me. Like
yeah.
I've not exactly been like 100% with it here anyway.
Yeah, I just completely faded out. That's fine.
Yeah, actually, the mic turned itself on because you just punched it too many times. Sam.
Wow. Okay.
We gotta, yeah.
So I responded to a few things. Billy, I think realistically, I favour JDG. They are looking like one of the best teams in the league right now, though I don't think IG are out of touching distance. And I think that there is going to be some fun conversations about what's happening in jungle and what's going to happen with bot lane prio. And I said, okay, best teams in the league. I think there are teams like top esports still looking better.
About to say,
and I think Gala's been a question. JDG is still though going to be one of our teams that you have to consider top 3-4, and that makes things interesting. I still think JDG are favoured, but I think IG definitely have the ability to contest it.
Because I don't think they are quote unquote a top team right now. They need to prove that. They're currently, Sam, 2-3.
Yeah,
they're 2-3 in series. They lost to NIP. They lost to top esports. They lost to BLG. I think they are like three very strong teams.
Yeah, but they're the three best teams in the league for my money. Well, probably.
We'll see what happens with teams like Anyone's Legend if they manage to revive. But I think that JDG needs to prove themselves as a top team again. I don't think that all of their drafts have been very playable. I think that some of their early games have gone very far apart. I think bot lane, which was a real rock for them last split, has had either Vampire or Gala inting in one games. Now, the problem with JDG as well is that they're, look, in playoffs, I think they'll be a much better version of themselves. For regular season, this is a team which has back-to-back games for the grand majority of their series. If you need a break, by the way, now Sam's time is...
Yeah, I was just going to stick on this point before we leave, so we all probably have that conversation we're in the middle of having it, so I'll have to wait a second or two.
Do you need to put on our break right now, though, just because we need to get that done now, by the way. But yeah, I think that bot lane...
That's fine, let's go.
Okay, yeah, but I think that JDG, I think that bot lane has had a few issues, like, because they've been playing, because their schedule has been, like, back-to-back games, it means that they're very variant.
I completely agree. Yeah, that largely what I was going to say as well. They were in the same position that we saw. I want to say we were having that conversation about NIP just yesterday as well, right? Because obviously we saw them have a very, very shoddy game against anyone's legend, but significantly more more success against BLG in a very different way, which I thought was quite good. I still think, though, I want to see what IG can do against JDG, because I still need to see IG keep this level of form up, because obviously they brought people like Breathe back in who's had great showings, but we've seen Renard be very up and down, and I want to make sure that this IG form that we've seen isn't a flash in the pan, basically, is what I wanted to get at. Because we've seen them also potentially make some dodgy mistakes. Well, there's a reason they're 3-3, and why I think in this series in particular, I'm very interested in what happens in jungle, I'm very interested in what happens in bot lane, and I think I'd probably give JDG a slight edge right now if they don't get the kind of the formula right against JDG.
I think if Renard plays how he's been playing, I think JDG stomp them. I think Renard's not been good enough. However, I think that IG have always had that kind of just like slight leg up on JDG mentally. Like they had a huge win streak against them from 24 to...
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, it only got broken the last time they faced. And it was from like 24 to first split of this year. But yeah, I think that IG, I think that... you know, Breathe is very good. I think that Xiaoshu and him will match up well. I think bot lane, I think IG can win that because Mako is on such good form. I think that Mako is the top 2 support in the league right now. My worry is about mid lane. I think that jungle support is technically a little better for them. We'll change the audio over as well to get back into the string of things as well. Here in Beijing, JDG versus Invictus Gaming. A strong matchup between the two teams. JDG on first and second seed. Okay, so, you know, Sam and I said our piece. I think JDG probably are favored here, just because I just think the mid lane matchup is very in favor of JDG. I think that Honkyu is, at the moment, much better than Renard. I think that IG, I think they really need to look to bring Rookie back as soon as possible. I know that Rookie is like back in Korea. I don't know how long he's going to be off for, but I think that if they have Renard, I think it's so hard for them to play against top teams because he just gets blown out by a bunch of them in laning phase. He kind of has to default back to the likes of the LeBlanc. The Annie has not been working very well for him. Oh, that's very kind of you, Jin Jin. Very kind of you. Who's playing an LCK right now? Who's playing for them? Oh, I wondered why viewers had gone through the floor. It's because LCK's on again. Of course LCK's on, because it's on at the same time, but... Oh wait, hang on. Aragon's also watching LCK, so he's also not watching LPL right now. I just saw him. I think he's just tuned into LCK, right? Oh, HLE's playing. They're a popular team. Yeah, I mean, I just had a look over. I was just looking over to the stream to see what was on, right? And yeah, I think that I just saw him looking at LCK, so I think he does have rights for that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure. Oh, he's watching the VOD, right? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I just saw the preview and I was like, okay, well, I guess he's watching LCK as well. But he's a big JDG fan, so presumably watching this too. Okay, let's see if we get ourselves. Oh my God, Angie with a 260 stream streak. Invictus Gaming, first team to be introduced here. Breathe, Wei, Renard, Jachi, and Mako. Now, I think Mako is up there as best support in the league. And I think that Breathe, of course, been a big upgrade over Sobro as well. Jachi coming in for Photic has been a big change for them too. JDG on the other side is the roster which went to first stand, a team with a bunch of potential. I think their schedule has definitely taken something out of them. Fun fact for Need for Power, we can definitely look for that too. Key players, they're choosing Renard versus Honky. Yeah, I think you have to. I think that Renard is a player who I think does have the ability to lose you a game, sadly, by himself, because his laning phase and his champion pool is so small that I think that really puts IG into difficult positions. Honky on the other side, he's not been at peak. He's definitely not been at peak. But he is also a player which, you know, can just brutalize you in laning phase. Look at the total champions play. See that Renard has actually got his hands on the Orianna. I actually wonder whether one of the reasons he's getting his hands on the Orianna is because teams realize that they can play against him a lot. Honky currently 0-3 on the Azir. Didn't expect that. Didn't expect that at all. Oh gosh, camera's down there because it was still there from the break, yeah. But yeah, in terms of... Oh, what is this? Mako. Oh, Mako versus Gala. Because, of course, they played... Wait, is that their series in games all time? That's crazy. So they're 9-9 in series, 25-22 in games. So Mako and Gala, of course, they've been playing against each other for yonks now. Mako has been playing much longer than Gala. Gala started in...
19?
Something like that. Might have even been around 2018. Anyway, he's been around for a while. Yeah. I can do that, Angie. But yeah, I think that we need a fun fact for Need for Power as well. I need to think about that. Gosh, let me think about that. I can get Hydra with that too. But yeah, I think that the mainstream highlighted mid lane as their matchup to watch as well. And I think you kind of have to because the Renard can just get blown out and lose you a game. But I think a Honky is... Look, JDG are a laning focused team. And if mid lane goes badly enough, and particularly because his champion pool is very slim, I think Renard could get into a really bad position here.
There is a somewhat fun fact for gamers out there. Xbox's new CEO has announced they're actually reducing the price on Game Pass. It's
Hello，
gone
各位
down.
好，欢迎来到赛前采访，我是主持人松琪。我们邀请到了 IG 的打野选手威，先跟大家打个招呼吧。
大家好，我是 IG 打野小威。
欢迎小威。那这段时间，相信大家在积极努力调整状态嘛。目前你们努力的方向是什么呢？
我们就是减少一些沟通上的失误吧，然后以及让队伍变得更稳定。
那今天这场比赛对阵到北京 JDG， 你们希望队伍能在峡谷中打出怎样的竞技状态？
今天我们也会打出精彩的比赛的吧。
好的，期待你们给我们带来精彩的赛事，比赛加油！ Hello， 各位，在前采环节，我们也邀请到了北京 JDG 的上单选手小徐，先跟大家打个招呼吧。
大家好，我是 JDG 的上单小徐。
那想先问一下，来到了 26.08 版本，你个人比较关注的变动是什么？在上路英雄级的优先权方面，是否有一些较大的变化呢
？26.08对于上路的改动算是比较少吧，所以说没有特别关注的变动。
今天这场比赛对阵 IG， 相信双方都志在必得。你觉得对上他们的制胜关键在于哪些方面？
今天对上 IG 的制胜关键应该是资源团吧。
好的，比赛加油，赛场见。
Just seeing over in LCK that like BFX have subbed out Vikla for Daystar.
Wow.
Which is a big thing there. It's really gotten to that point. Should be getting towards the Rift now as well. Onto the stage we go. We're here in Beijing. Welcome in everyone who's been joining us for the second series. If you've been watching LCK, I hope you've had a wonderful time there. And if you're here to watch LPL, we hope you have an even better time here. I know it's hard to compete, but we've got two great regions. We do indeed. Between the two of them. IG first out onto the stage, led by Captain Mako. JDG, a team which they've actually had a pretty good record over time. I'm very much excited to see whether IG, even with, you know, the different roster from last split, they've kept their jungle. But realistically, you know, Mako coming back has really helped them. I think switching out Photic and Sobro has really helped them. JDG still went to first down. JDG still have like one series a week where they look very, very strong. We'll just get to see whether the coin flip lands on heads today for them.
Well, there's a fun discussion. Fun fact thought maybe, if there's no canon Arthurian legends, because there is no canon Arthurian North, I grant you, well, there's a couple, I suppose. Is Fate part of the folklore now? Fate Stay Night, now Arthurian legend? Arthur was a cute girl all along. Is that the answer?
Hey, wait, LCK is like sitting down for some fine dining. LPL is digging into a plate the sloppiest wings you've ever seen. I completely resent that, and I think that's wrong. I think that LPL plays a very good style of League of Legends. I think that's very clinical about the way that they set it, vision control, and launch plays off of that. And we saw from first stand, the way that they clinically approach the early game is perhaps the best style to play League of Legends right now. If you want to learn peak League of Legends for how to play it right now, you should be watching LPL. They have figured out how to play the early jungle meta and early laning meta. I resent that comment. I think it's wrong. I think LPL plays a very good style of League of Legends. And while I think it actually like degrades the region to think of it like it's fast food. I think that while it is fast and aggressive at points, I think that the way that they set up the map, the way that they play around it, early vision warding. Gen.G got demolished by this style of play. Of course, it was from G2, and they did beat JDG on that too. But I think that you look at the way that level 1 warding, the jungle decision making, I think that right now LPL has the best junglers in the world. I think we're a very, very stacked region in that jungle and early game department. I really think that this matchup should be a good matchup to see exactly how that kind of jungle matchup works too. We have Junja versus Wei. These are incredible junglers, 2 of the best in the world.
We've got a spicy curry is what we got, because it's all in the preparation, folks. It's all in the preparation, lads. Get those spices out, get your mix sorted, and then when it all comes together, all that preparation works, leaves you with something really delectable. Because you're right, all that prep into the early jungle pathing, all the early wards really sets you up for success. That's what you makes that one different.
And I think that's what you can kind of see. I actually think the LCK learned from that from first stand. Because then you look at teams like KT Rolster when they're playing so heavily around, you know, Cuz as well, and the way that BDD impacts the map. And of course, I know they've had some differences there too. I really think the way that the jungle is played in the meta is so important to the way that everything is played right now. In the first few levels of the game, if your jungler gets ahead, you have yourself a winning angle. Now, in this game in particular, I think one of the reasons why JDG has struggled against IG in the past has been because jungle support has gotten ahead of them. Like, it's actually one of the reasons why Weibo were quite good at them before when they had Urha as well. I think that Junja and Vampire, very, very good individually, but that combination between the two of them has been a little bit lacking at points. And that connective tissue in JDG, that's what we need to see keep building and building over the year. Of course, a lot of great coaching staff behind to make that happen.
Yeah, of course. The other side is when we've seen Junja not look good, it's been very unpretty. Like, one of the big loss conditions for JDG is Junja having a bad game. And for a variety of reasons that can be. It can be poor play on his own part, it can be poor connection with the team, level 1's going wrong, but when it does go wrong for this player, he tends to go wrong in pretty catastrophic fashion. We are going to head into draft for our first game here. JDG on blue side, you can say Tabe behind them, always a fun coach to keep your eyes on. The Ori, the Bard taken away on the other side, Faris, Karma Rump, all important bans. Jarvan's going to make it through so far.
So we're looking now at the first picks and bans. The Rise Pantheon are the big things which are currently open. The Jarvan 2.
Annie, and also taken off, as I said, Jarvan is taken off the table, or is it on the table? Noted now. Potentially be first picked. Seraphine's up as well. Are we thinking about Ashe Seraphining? We certainly are.
Yeah. So that's going to be an enchanter for Mako. Look, Mako, I think, is maybe best support in the LPL right now. He's contesting with On. Do they switch it away from the Ashe? They do. So now we're thinking about, okay, does Jachi go towards something like the Ezreal alongside the Seraphine? The Jarvan's been locked in. Jarvan's very good for Junja. He's very good at kind of piloting that early game. Also very good into the Seraphine. If you look in the Ezreal, though, still got a very powerful bot lane, and you have an AD carry, which is much harder to lock down.
Yeah, agreed. We'll see what they manage to lock in alongside this. Debating the Ezreal for Jachi, as you noted. He's been fun with Mako, it has to be said. A little bit inconsistent if there was a loss condition for IG, as Jachi having a tumultuous time in lane. He does love to play aggressively, and at this level of the LPL, players have been catching him out a little more than he might have been finding at levels like LDL or just lower end LPL.
Yeah, I think particularly, look, Jachi in the early game, if he gets through that, fantastic. But it's just more rocky when you put him behind. I think JDG's game plan should be much what brought them success last split. Just play through just Psychopath pushing bot lane, Junja getting an invade and then isolating bot lane. That should be the way that they play, because I think that will work so well against Jachi to put him under pressure. I think Jachi's actually a very good player, but it's just that inconsistency in the early game which really hurts him. Pantheon for Wei, though, one of the best players of it in the LPL.
Baiting the Lulu to go with the Ashe to have that enchanter there, still very lane dominant. Splitting up that Ashe Seraphines can be quite annoying. Of course, Gala played a fair amount of Ashe, as have most variety goes across the way. Hello. Welcome to the LPL. Ezreal, give him away!
Oh, that's adorable.
JDG fans.
There we go. There's some international fans there too. Very cool. All right. Lulu locked in, so it's going to be the Ashe Lulu. Vampire found a lot more success on the Enchanters as of late. That's not an easy lane though. Like, Ashe Lulu does not win against Ezreal Seraphine on paper, so Jachi and Mako should be pretty powerful there. You look like you disagree.
I'm just trying to think it through. Like, so obviously Ezreal very strong at the level 1. I can see Seraphine big, obnoxious. Does splitting off the kind of root combo with the Seraphine make the Seraphine less good? Because I'm still thinking like Glitterlance will still proc the with the Ashe slows on top of that. You still got quite a lot of early trading would be my suspicion, right?
Yeah, so you'd think that, but the problem with Lulu against other enchanters is Lulu is outranged by other enchanters.
Right, yeah.
It's why Lulu can actually struggle against champions like Nami and a lot of different, pretty much everyone suffers versus Seraphine because it's the longest range enchanter in terms of that poke.
I can see that, yeah.
So while Ashe does help with the volley, you need to really knife fight with a Lulu, which obviously not having as much HP can be a problem. The Cassiopeia band away, Rise band away. Of course, JDG will have 4th and 5th picks. They'll have 4th after the bans and then last pick as well. So that's why even though IG would love the Rise, they can't let it go over to JDG. That'll be banned away. Now I'm looking at champions like maybe Aurora. Now some of these champions have been banned out. Then in the top lane, I think Ambess is a big one that we need to point out.
Yeah, that's very true. We've not seen an Ambessa today, have we? I don't think it was banned out that much last year. I don't remember the
It was banned out in one of the games, but I don't think it was banned out in the other.
Yeah, I think Rumble got through, and one of them always been interesting. They're just banning out Renard's champion pool pretty heavily here. That's 4 mid lane champions off the board, by the way, and not including the Rise that was banned on the other side, I think. Renard might be put onto a slightly uncomfortable matchup here, because Honku, for all his other flaws, certainly doesn't have a champion issue.
For sure. I mean, mid lane was one of the roles that we highlighted the most, and we haven't seen that matchup yet. I would imagine it's just going to be blind pick mid lane for IG. They'd have to, and then because JDG will counter it later. In terms of what JDG want from the rest of their draft, no Azir for Honku. I think you blind pick something like Gnar, Renekton now for Xiaoshu, just let him have that, and then you counter pick for mid lane. Just really dig the screws into that mid lane matchup, because I think JDG, even if the rest of the map doesn't go well for them, mid lane should be an auto-winning lane for them.
My worry here, though, is yes, Ambessa's through, yes, the Renekton's through. You could Renekton and deny an Ambessa here, but my worry here is it is Breathe on the other side. Blind picking into Breathe can be very scary, because I think his return to Invictus Gaming has been very dangerous. He has been one of the stars, really, alongside Mako in terms of their best players. Just looking instead for Honku's very famous Twisted Fate. You've already got the Jarvan, you've already got the Ashe. That pick is looking quite dangerous, and they want to make sure that Xiaoshu isn't going to get counter-picked by Breathe, and might just allow for a Scion pick on the other side.
So if you go for the Scion, you might invite something like a Vayne, but Vayne into Seraphine and Pantheon. Pantheon for the global, Seraphine for the AoE kind of teamfight lockout is quite dangerous. And one of the things about locking in a Scion is it means that Twisted Fate can't really go top lane. You don't really want to go into such a kind of like a flat nothing burger top lane. You want to go to volatile lanes. Now Honku is not really an early game snowball TF though. He's a late game TF monster. It's a big thing for him. Now Renard, what does he pick into it? Does he go for something like the Galio, trying to pick up a second kind of global threat there? Would leave you as like a single threat comp as Jachi. Ari gives you a little bit more damage to play around, and of course it's quite safe into the Jarvan as well.
Yeah, and it allows you to follow up on things like the Pantheon or the Seraphine Encore well enough. You've got a fair amount of pick tools now, but having seen that Scion, I think the Ambessa angle's not bad here. You've got enough lockdown here for the Ambessa ult to be pretty point and click.
Well, yeah, gold card into Ambessa ult, you're absolutely right. That can be really important. I think IG, their damage profile looks a little bit suspicious, Sam, where you have Renard on the Ahri, which is, well, he's been very creative at his angles. I remember him in Demacia Cup on that. We'll see whether he can relive that experience. But JDG, I mean, pretty much everyone can get that burst damage from somewhere. Of course, the Lulu notwithstanding. We'd go into quick outbreak though, so we don't get that into game. I think JDG walk away with a better draft, Sam, personally. I think that,
I agree.
I think that there are some worries about bot lane laning phase. If Ezreal, Seraphine get ahead, maybe the game falls apart with that, because then suddenly Junja has to go and answer to them where he gets ahead. I think IG have a harder draft to play because it's all about really the Ezreal carrying later on. And when you have an Ambassador and a gold card, it's quite easy to just ping that single target CC.
I will say that again, you've still got a good front to back. You know, Enchanted with a Scion, Encore extenders, good pick with a Pantheon and Ahri, decent global / roaming threat with the Scion and the Ahri and the Pantheon. Like, it's not like IG's draft isn't serviceable. I see what it's supposed to do. I see the combos, but I am a little nervous there about the potential ways that a lot of that can get punished. I'm a little nervous about the fact that actually post a certain point, certain members are going to get locked down, say that Ezreal, and there's not going to be that much you get to do about it.
So into game we go. Second series of the day. IG versus JDG here in Ascend. JDG currently at 2 and 3. Not an easy split for them. They've fallen off of form somewhat. Time to see if they can bounce back into game. Let's hear the Gyos here in Beijing.
Gyo. He's back. Solid Gyos, but the king of my heart is back. Mistos, thank you for the sub. Jing Dong. Oh, I don't know his name. I want to know his name. But what an icon of the scene. Never played a game. Doesn't matter. Nothing super crazy here in terms of the runes. Both top laners going grass. That makes sense. Lethal tempo for both AD carries. Sometimes we've seen things like the Conqueror or the PTA, but on the Ashe. But realistically, Lethal tempo is just very good. And Spellbook for Honkyu, which always feels quite nice on the TF because more summoners means more ways to do shenanigans early on. Junja with an early invade here.
Yeah, and he's not going to be spotted either. So one of the big things about, of course, the meta is about getting ahead in jungle. Junja is very important for this. So Wei is not going to get a clean level 3 off of his topside camps. The wards, they'll know that he's not going towards his own Raptors right now, but they haven't got good enough vision across everywhere. He can get level 2, but Renard will spot this out, spot the Jarvan now, so they'll know that the Raptors are gone. Can Wei head over to the other side of the map? He does have red buff to no red buff. He might be able to play this out. I think Raptors will already gone by the time he gets there, though. What's he going to do? He's going to be against the level 3 Jarvan. I think Wei's going to be behind a level.
Yeah, he can look mid instead. Honkyu's going to have an idea, though. Locking a gold card. Flash away. Flash for the charm. The gold card follow will be there. Gets it onto the Pantheon. Renard might need to flash. The wild card down to the turret shot. And the minion aggro brings down the Ahri. It goes so very wrong.
Clearly, Renard was not on the same page as Wei. Renard flashes forwards, takes turret aggro, and the mid lane matchup we were worried about for IG goes horribly wrong. Honkyu baits in the play so well. Knows they're likely going to pull the summoners anyway. Now suddenly, Wei down a flash, Renard down a flash, kill for Honkyu, gets himself a ruby crystal on the first back very easily now too. That's a really, really bad moment here from IG. Wei was spotted, flashes away, and I think Wei just didn't want to follow it up. He goes for the auto attack after that, gets gold carded under, and he ends up dropping aggro, which means that Renard dies and doesn't even get the kill. Minions take down the last of it.
Oh, that is so frustrating. There's a little bit of a grin there because they know that they got away with murder, quite literally. Very pleased. Bot lane, early shove for the Ethereal Seraphine, but I think Gala happy enough with this. Gala and Vampire want one of our premier bot lanes. Luckily, our last split was playing very well with Prio lanes and using that as a platform to play out the early stages. Haven't really been having quite so much fun. I think individually, Vampire's still been pretty solid. Gala has been off the boil, though. Make no mistake about it.
The way I would phrase it is that either one or both of them are off the boil. They're kind of alternating, really. So Gala will have one bad series, and Vampire will have a bad series the next time. We haven't seen both of them been on yet, really, in this split. Because we saw, Vampire had some awkward Nautilus games, but then Gala had even worse, Ziggs games,
yeah.
right, which are really poor. Junja, though, is really the heart and soul of JDG for me. If he gets ahead, good things come for JDG. If he's behind, bad things come for them. That's why we call them Junja Dice Gaming. It's whether you roll a 1 or a 6, really, with him. Right now, ahead of Wei, who's one of our best junglers in the league, and I don't think IG had the best level 1 prep Sam. I think JDG much better on the wards.
Brilliant, there is that ward behind there. They know that he started the Raptors, so Junja goes, great, I'll start the other camp. Now I know which one you're on, I can take the other.
Yeah, Wei behind. Camp already. Honkyu maybe even looking to steal. And he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. Wade's going to go compare, going to go check his Krugs. They're down already, though.
Yeah, and a flag and drag over from Junja. I appreciate that from Honkyu. Did have a good timer on that wild card. I appreciated the thought process there. Though he is running currently with a Ruby Crystal and a Mana Crystal, so realistically his damage right now is non-existent. Can maybe look through mid. There's the gold card. Junja behind. I don't really think this turns into anything resembling a proper fight, but the shove is there for Honkyu, who now has that level 6.
What? But was no flash on Ahri and a flash on Jarvan? I was actually wondering whether to go for the combo. Wei really needs to get a camp steal away, and I can't get it. Get some mini ones, and that's it. And he gets 3 of them at that.
Yeah, I know. It's not exactly what you want, really. Can maybe flag and drag back in. There is an Ahri with a charm here. Are we sure?
Yes, coming through.
Is coming. He needs to flash out. They can't follow because, of course, there's no flash on the Jarvan.
Honkyu kills them.
Fight. Yeah, he can. He just walks them when there's an X charm. Not there, not needed. Locks kicks in another card, and unfortunately, that card read the Ace of Spades, Dead Man's Hand again.
Hongq is really taking over this game. 2 kills for him. The TF passive hasn't even began to factor into the gold lead here. I mean, I think Renard flashing on the turret and dying for free might have thrown this entire game, Sam.
Yeah.
We were worrying about this mid lane matchup. I think he saw, you know, the bright lights in his eyes, and he saw a play. It just wasn't for him. It was for Hongq instead. Loved how Junja just drops down the standard as well and says, look, TF can use the attack speed. Gets the kill from that pretty much. Wei kind of suffering for his mid laner's faults there, really. And IG just wondering, you know, what the hell they're going to do in this game. Now, 1k down already. It hasn't come through bot lane. Jachi and Mako doing very well there. It hasn't come through top lane. Breeze doing very well there too. It has come through mid lane, which is what we were worried about.
It is, and that is a concern. And again, eventually the Ambessa will have an easier time into the Scion early on. Hilariously, the Scion can often be quite annoying for the Ambessa, who does really need the Eclipse on the level 6 to kind of have a bit more sustain, especially Ramble Fest can get a bit annoying. And bot side, you kind of explain why the Seraphine can be a bit annoying for that. Lulu, it's not like they're out of touching distance, but being 10 CS down in both those lanes, a little bit frustrating, make no mistake about it.
It's just not what JDG normally play through.
Yeah,
they normally
exactly.
play through hyper pushing bot lane, which kind of covers some of the weaknesses of Gala and Vampire. You know, they're very good at playing around the macro pushing bot lane. We do have level 6 coming up shortly for Wei. It's going to be a little delayed because, of course, the jungle advantage has gone heavily into Junja. Death for both mid and jungle has set Wei behind. It hasn't gone into the hands of Junja necessarily. It's mainly been into that mid lane matchup. Renard does have ult, and he does have Dark Seal first back, which is a way to climb out of, you know, deficits. Potential wildcard over the walls again. Doesn't really understand that.
Little note as well, of course, Mako gets on an enchanter, and in general, I know LPL English ran this this graphic, and I completely agree that Ronaldo's going to look into
Pantheon.
Here is that Pantheon. The gold card's available, the heal with that summoner spell to buy at a time, but I think realistically the CC chain is pretty good. When the flash, it's there, jump away, can't get the kill, and he's out!
His flash comes up during the play, and they don't have the damage. Renard does have his flash again. Junja has level 6, though. Flashes away. Does Junja kill him with the Q? He's certainly looking for it. Can't get it. So once again, Hongq outplays again, just better than Renard.
Oh, it's closer on stuff, but Hongq is 2-0. The plays from Wei and Renard have not landed, and this TF can begin to take over the game. Yes, it's the rower. It'll take a little bit of time, but getting that so early feels real good.
Well, the way that he survives that is by having an extra Ruby Crystal. You know, if he didn't have the early gold, he wouldn't have survived that. Renard waited until the combo came in from the Pantheon. That was good, but no, just not able to make a big play. Now they're fighting over the dragon. Junja doesn't have, well, he doesn't have flash. He'd have to flag drag out.
He has just burned the flag, and Dragon needs to be afraid of a potential Scion ult. Does get jumped on, takes the Dragon with the Cataclysm to buffer through the CC, but will die for taking the Dragon roam down from the Scion. Gets Breather kill, gets something for IG, but they can't stop the objective going over. You know what, Junja? I appreciate that angle. Now bot lane, Arrow just wiped because of the flashes. Good call on that one. The gold card still follows. Mako going to get the heal. Knocked up by the Wild Growth. Can keep looking for more as the focus fire comes on down, and they do kill off the Seraphine. Nice angle from JDG.
Hongq TF, man, he is so good at this. He might be the best TF player just within the entirety of the LPL. Fantastic at this champion. And Renard has just not been able to hold him in check. He gave him the early gold, and that was our worry. Our worry was actually IG can compete in every other role. Mid lane is the worry point. IG are now falling behind a significant amount strategically from this. 3 kills onto the Twisted Fate. He's going to get himself a quick Lich Bane, a quick Rapid Fire Cannon. And at that point, you know, the problem of, you know, the Ezreal being the sole damage source, especially exacerbated by the fact that mid jungle is so far behind, it's going to be very hard for IG to win this game now. I mean, it is all on Ezreal, Seraphine just hyper team fighting, and it's very hard to do that against such mid, like single target CC.
Yeah, I agree. At the very least, you do have Enchanter plus Scion frontline, and your carries are mobile. The Ashe, the Ezreal, very mobile. I think once the Chaos comes in for Mako, which I think will be a requirement this game, you have got a few more tools to potentially play out some of those more extended plays and make time that one. We'll see exactly how that goes as Vampire trying to fight over these wards. Should pick that one up, not quite. Back away level on that one. Of course, Junja is on the grubs right now, so they don't want to full send in mid lane because it could be a little over eager, a little over zealous. Wei will take his red buff, and the objectives keep going JDG's ways.
They do. IG Again, it really has to stand out from mid lane, and it goes to show like how individually strong JDG are as players, where you kind of slip up in one role and things start to fall apart. We've seen that in bot lane from very good bot lanes before, giving that bot lane advantage. We've seen that in top lane against Xiaoshu, where he'll get a Renekton or an Ambessa, and things will fall apart. IG almost had the full set of cards to deal with JDG, but this mid lane matchup has already gone well out of proportion, and I think sadly that's now dragged way behind too as one of IG's most important players and one of the best junglers in the LPL. Is just how do you play this now without a good combo to go towards? I mean, Pantheon Sion is not killing the Ambessa. Pantheon with an Ahri who's this far behind is not going to kill such a fed Twisted Fate who has the Merc Treads now too. It's going to make that combo even harder. They need to somehow avoid the TF, but then the TF will just alter the play. I think JDG have got a slam dunk here.
It's looking really tough. It's looking really tough. And looking towards potential angle at bot lane, clearing out some of these wards. IG have managed to get a few down. And again, the jungle advantage, just keeping way out of making too many proactive plays is kind of important. I think we've seen the one Pantheon ult that didn't really lead to a lot in mid lane because Honky kind of survived. Now, as we said, the fact that the TF is snowballed ahead of curve is always a bit frustrating. Junja has just walked across the ward though, so they'll know where the Jarvan is right now.
Yeah. So IG, what is the plan? Very hard to stop the recall there actually. So maybe even scans that bro. I mean, he knows he's been spotted because Ezreal gives vision there. I mean, JDG, they had such a bogey against like IG. They were the bogey team, you know, where didn't even matter if JDG were a very good team and IG were not a good roster. JDG would just end up losing to IG. Funnily enough, actually, before that point, the last time where JDG had a winning match versus IG was actually when Vampire debuted on IG. That was when, that was before they built the super team. So this is like an odd coincidence there. It's obviously not really because of him, really, but was Vampire now onto JDG. Was on the losing end of that matchup for the entirety of last year. JDG, no, right now, though, I mean, this mid lane matchup, as we were saying, has really worked out well for them. I think Honky, I think this year has been a bit of a mixed bag for him. Start of last split, pretty good. You go into bits of playoffs though, and he just kind of got decked by Knight. You look at most of the series which happened. Their first stand, obviously okay versus Chovy on the whole versus Gen G, but then again, Knight at their first stand in the semi-finals was, I mean, that being said, I mean, most people in the LPL tend to lose the Knight, so it's not really a big thing there.
He's been quite good for a while now, isn't Knight? So they say?
Yeah. And you look at this regular season, we thought, actually, you know what? Honky, pretty good year so far. You know, had some ups and downs, but pretty good. And then coming into the start of this regular season, he was, you know, not bad, but not finding his real comfort. And you look at some of his Azir again, 0-3 on Azir, which is one of his best champions. We're worried that actually, you know, his side lane's been a bit awry. Some of his Azir play has not been great. The one thing which has been consistent, though, is some of the other champions haven't stood up as tall for him. His Twisted Fate has still been excellent. I can't think of a game where he's looked bad on TF. There have been games where he hasn't done anything early game on TF, but his late game has always been exceptional on the champion.
Yeah, I can agree with that one. Breathe. Fighting over a little bit of that top lane shove. Bot lane, Vampire and Gala just looking for an angle. Junges around, but his on vision will sweep that ward out. Can look to get rid of the Pixel Bush ward as well. Dragons also spawn, so I think we might be looking at a fight around here as Breathe roams down the river.
He's got the level 2 of the ultimates here, pulling the trigger first. I guess he's going to use it into Tri-Brush. Ward put in there, teleport coming in from the Ambassador. No gold card into it. Science Space, the ulti just get into it. They're trying to go onto the teleport. Wonderful job with the wild growth on 3. Encore goes through though. Nice from Mako.
Makes it a bit messy from JDG. You need to go on the retreat. Flash over from Breathe. In comes the Pantheon ult. This looks good for IG. Way goes in. Junja dies mid-cataclysm. Honku falls. And Jing Dong Gaming ring the bell, but for themselves. Time out. Time out.
IG win the first big team fight of the game. I wasn't expecting that at all. Gala has the arrow, lands first onto the Seraphine. Breathe coming down.
Needs to maybe keep his bot lane alive. Vampire takes a bit of damage, and all the while that dragon will fall. Very, very nicely timed there. That teleport, hate to say it, it kind of sucked.
It really did. Look, I think that Xiaoshu thought he was unspotted on this. Charm is perfectly timed from Renard. Goes straight through. I think there was a frame where he could have used his ultimate. Likely would have got hit by that anyway. Full CC charm chain comes through, and they just can't rally in time. The problem with JDG's composition is they don't have a tank. So if they're fighting front to back and they don't get onto the back line, things go very badly wrong very quickly. It's a mistake of Xiaoshu. I think it's a mistake of JDG to follow him into the abyss. 3 kills, Dragon to IG, gold back in pocket. Yes, there's going to be Renard who's still behind in that matchup. You know, Breathe is now a real problem, who's going to be immovable in that front line, and even Janchi picks up some gold.
Yeah, I was pretty excited for JDG's position in this game. We liked the draft. That play was not it. Gave over a lot of gold and some important kills to some pretty scary members. Janchi is now, as we noted, in a strong point. Renard gets some Dark Seal stacks, which always feels good. He has picked up that Dark Seal by the buy, worth noting. Xiaoshu, not really what we want to see from a TP like that, make no mistake about it.
And this is one of the big things about the Dark Seal, right? You can lose the early game, and then you pick up some Dark Seal stacks, and then you just feel a lot better. Now you have the level 11, you have the Malignance, you got yourself, you know, 3 individual Ultimate Hunter stacks. Renard is in a much better point than he was before. We were worried about the damage profile of IG. When everyone just kind of clumps up into the CC chain, you can just focus one target down, though. Works quite well. Ginger was on vision. TF ult isn't up yet, so they can play without that threat of the global over their shoulder.
They've got grubs, they've got TF shoving. I think with the Sheen, that's going to want to shove through that bot lane, stick through those cards, TP away from Renard. You could interrupt that, not going to.
Wait,
I was looking for a fight, and of course, you just saw Renard TP'd away. Here we go, the arrow is well wide. That's a bit problematic, and Xiaoshu's dead. That is just not coordinated. JDG, what are we doing?
That was an exceptional Scion ult from Breathe. Breathe ends up interrupting the kill combo from Junja. They try and take the fight as Renard teleports out, but Xiaoshu makes another critical error going in without his bot lane in position. Gala and Vampire aren't there to make the difference.
Oh boy, has to flash out at the encore again with the arrow going wide in that last play. A little bit problematic. Breathe, great frontlining there, does some serious work. I saw what the thought process was. We just saw Renard leave, and they just can't convert.
I mean, if you really wanted to, just ult Renard, just stop him from teleporting. And I think the better play is to just stop that. Look at this ult from Breathe, though. Get both them in the knockup, stops the kill combo from Junja. The Cataclysm isn't enough. Wade lives there as well. And now suddenly JDG find themselves 1k behind. Look, we did say that JDG, they're not, well, I know that, you know, we had this discussion about, are JDG still a top team in the LPL? Now, I think they will be, but in regular season, I don't think JDG, because of schedule, because of the way that other teams have caught up to the meta, have been that impactful. Is there CC coming out of that Fog of War? No, I think they're afraid of the TF ult, which is why they backed off.
That makes some sense. I just saw, obviously, the observers toggle the vision and people walking over, and I just began to get a little nervous.
You know, Xiaoshu on this Ambassador, I'm very surprised to see him, you know, playing like this. I mean, Breathe has held him to account in laning phase. Potential jump onto the TF in bot lane here. Charm, not that well off. That's never going to hit, mate. Almost walks back to the wildcards too. Dragon in 2 minutes and nothing to fight over there. Junja clearing out some vision. Every time a play like this happens, you have to just keep an eye on where the TF is. There's a chance of arrow into something like the gold card, and they're going in.
They do indeed. Look for a bit of a stun. Hongq gets rooted, but the stun is still good. Wade now in danger. The wild growth helps keep that TF alive, recycling through a lot more of those cards. Pick a card, any card. There is indeed is the Scion. Looking from a flank angle as well. Need to start backing away. Junja's in danger. Gets to the Cataclysm down. Scion goes the opposite direction to threaten the backline. There's another gold card before they die. Public execution. Ari can't run far enough away. And Xiaoshu begins to Drake count step. Look for the blast cone out. Just get them a little bit further over. Xiaoshu's got a lot of energy to work with. Flash from Hongq. Another gold card. They can keep dancing for more. Bot lane will at least take one with them, but they both fall, make no mistake about it. 4 for 2.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake from Wei and Renard, who tried to keep TF from initially getting into the play, and they didn't manage to do it. So it's a good play from JDG. No surprise it comes at the hands of the TF. It's a problem, though, that Janchi gets the kill onto the TF. It gives him a lot of gold here. You know, they don't have eyes on the TF. You can't be walking here. There's no flash on Wei either. Goes in for the empowered W. I think that's a mistake. I think he has to go for the empowered E instead. So I think Wei gets a little bit panicked. Janchi does a great job, though. I think he's been doing very well on the Ezreal. As he said, if he gets out of laning phase, very impactful from him. And then Renard makes a huge mistake ulting forward City. And then flashes back. Renard, big mistake from him. I think if he just ults back from the plate, works out a lot better for him. So Renard, again, bit of a mixed performance. They have the flash from TF, goes through with the speed up too, ends up locking down the Ezreal. Ezreal with a great kill back onto Hongq, though. At least gives him another 400 gold to play with.
Yeah, very nicely done. Very nicely done. 1,300 gold for JDG, make no mistake about it.
I wonder what item build's going to come in from that Janchi, because he might end up going towards Shojin just for the HP on that third item. He does have a cleanse. He could also justify going for a QSS as well. Dragon started from IG. You don't have Twisted Fatal just yet. He's pushing up top lane, so you're not going to go in for this play. You're going to give up Dragon, push out the side lanes. Hongq is the control tower of this game. This game is Hongq or bust for JDG.
For 3. So, what are we doing from this point? At the very least, IG get that Dragon, stop that potential win condition. The issue is still, though, I think you're going to hit this point where your ability to play around the Ambassador, play around the TF in the side lanes gets quite scary. Of course, it is Honku in a side lane who's been hit and miss. The arrow lands. Are we following this? It's a fairly long range off, and they will get to follow with the public execution. CC more than long enough to chase down Mako. No Mikhails as yet, and that definitely comes back to bite them right now.
There you go. Good point and click CC chain starting to find their combo again. This time it's the first pick, which looks good without the TF being there. Good accuracy from Gala 202. Evens up the gold lead between him and Jachi. Ends up getting good amount of gold from, I guess, some plates, and then also the kill onto the Seraphim. He must have had a little bit of gold stashed away there too. So the gold lead now fairly significant with the top lane turret going down and that pick. JDG, it's not been the cleanest game. I think with that team fight going wrong, obviously it kind of undid a lot of the hard work that Honku did outplaying Renard, and Renard lost a lot of the Dark Seal stacks in the last play too. Just that ult forward while having the flash available too. Renard, that last fight, he's going to really have to kick himself for that one. That really did undo a lot of the hard work that he did in that team fight just before it too, after a bad early game.
Yeah, definitely is. JDG with the edge here statistically from this position. I think that does make some sense. Again, they would be in a better spot if they picked up that next dragon. They don't quite. That's a bit of a frustration. But hey, so be it. I think for IG, you're not going to complain too much about your potential front to backs later on. I think Mako could really use that second item. The Diadem of Songs will be coming on in with the tier fully stacked already. And Mako, at this point, before we had too many of these fights kind of breaking out all over. It's very rude of the teams, honestly, interrupting the analysis like that. But
yeah.
Mako's win rate on Enchanted is pretty disgusting. That's what LPL English had done a fantastic graphic on a couple of weeks ago when Mako was burned. Something like a 70% win rate career long on Enchanted.
The thing is
ridiculous.
Hang on, TFL's going somewhere. It's going on to Wei. He does have flash. He doesn't pull the E just yet.
There's the wild word for the knock-up. The Aegis Assault comes on in, but just don't anywhere you can go. He's left alone. The team just goes, yeah, well, we can't save you.
Look, Wei has not played well around this Twisted Fate. Ult's now coming up towards Mako. Doesn't have the cleanse again. Jachi should have tanked that, cleansed, and not given over the kill. That's a mistake from Jachi. Cleanse, then E over. You make it out alive. That's 2 kills. That'll be Baron. Really good CC chain from JDG, but IG are not playing well against the TF. Both can be true at the same time. I think you might have to try and play around this in the 3v5, but it's so hard when it's only the Ezreal which has damage.
Reed has a monster shield from the teleport. He's going to have to come in and play this one. I completely agree about the Ezreal trying to tank that one up. You're absolutely right, Jachi. You have the cleanse. You can cleanse and E out there. What was the decision on that one? Very, very tough.
Thank you for letting us know about the audio. We've been casting for 20 minutes, and we've now figured out it's too loud. Good folks! Thank you for letting us know. We do appreciate that one. We'll turn it down just a little bit so you can hear us a little bit louder. IG in the real depths of the game now. You know, they're going to be... They were hard-pressed to deal with the full-court press without the Baron buff. Now with the Baron buff in, very, very hard to play against it.
Yeah, completely agree on that one. Always a little tough. Dragon minute and a half. Baron to JDG. Now 3,500 gold up. Try and play through this mid lane. That tier 1 turret in mid has just not fallen. Yeah, that's always a bit of a frustration point. Need to clear that one up best you can. Of course, you have got the TF, you've got the Ambest, been able to play around those side lane turrets a little better. The rapid fire is now done for Honku. Nearly at the Lord Doms for Gala as well, who hasn't gone for the new age build of things like Hex Optic back on the Kraken Slayer.
That he is. So, minutes till Dragon. IG would have their third if they did that. They've been doing well in the 5v5s. It's just JDG, they don't have a comp which wants to play the 5v5. They want to play around Jarvan, Ashe, Arrow, TF ult, picking off people isolated. And IG have given them those opportunities. Wei, in particular, has struggled with that. And Mako, despite this first pick, Sarah hanging, they're trying to jump onto Honku. I don't think they have the damage for it. He's going to try and go away. They need to save the charm. He flashes away. Charm flash misses. There's no more CC. And he dies. Renard, I don't think he had to charm flash. Could have charmed, waited for the angle. It's another escape from Honku, who has been running circles around Renard.
Yeah, that was just not necessary, and it allows the escape from Honku. Burns a flash for flash, I suppose. But hey, he gets to join the play in mid lane, now TPing back out, having reset, and is quite happy here to join and throw out some of these rapid-fire gold cards and just begin to lock people down, all the while Xiaoshu just gets to keep shoving bot lane.
And now Dragon's up in 10 seconds. They can, I mean, the sounds pretty tanky, but even then, with enough extended uptime, Gala will shred him.
Yeah, he's got the last whisper now. It's beginning to get a bit threatening. Ezreal does E away, but got hit by the gold card. Notwithstanding, mid lane turret still stands. They're doing a decent job of trying to hold this. They really want this turret to survive. Breathe gets polymorph. CC chained is only on 10% HP. Have to back away, and that probably means this mid lane turret finally falls. Arrow falls to flash. It lands on the Ahri regardless. And they will back away. The True Shot Barrage tags a couple, but I don't think it's really going to stop JDG's angle onto this dragon. All the while, Xiaoshu wasn't even there. He's shoving bot lane.
Yeah, Gala just gunning forwards with the gold card target there too. JDG have found themselves their huge lead. I don't think Breathe is tanky enough. We've seen that now against Gala, who's getting towards that armor penetration. Dragon taken by JDG. IG just make one too many mistakes around Honky. The one in laning phase was bad enough. The ones after that, after they kind of made up for that, were arguably worse, Sam. The ones where they, if you've ever played against a TF, you know that they're going to be coming out of Fog of War for you. You must mark the TF, and as soon as he's off of a lane where you can see him, you back off in River. You can't go contest for that. And if you're going to walk up to it, you got to be there in strength to make sure you can put the wards down, not die in the initial attempt, and then you can make the split plays after. I don't think IG's macro has been very good in their awareness of where the TF on the map. Of course, made hard by the fact that Honky was so far ahead and he's playing it so well. But IG, I do think they've been disrespectful of it.
I agree. You've at least got that Lord Doms now for Gala, who is at that 3-item mark. Shojin done for Jachi. He's 4-1. Maybe there's your way back in. Just have the Ezreal pop off. Just how easy it's going to be. I'll note that the Baron didn't really lead to a lot of gold there. Really what JDG did, used it for, was to set up position for that dragon. And also, I'm not going to lie, to finally get that mid-tier 1 down that IG fought tooth and nail to hold on to. It really was that kind of commanding control center to give them some ways to stay alive from the very dangerous pit from JDG. And now Breathe is going to get jumped on. Will have to ult his way through, body blocked there by Hongyu. Going to try and keep running at this Scion, who needs to flash away.
Yeah, he flashes away before he loses too much HP. I think that's a good decision for them. Baron buff not there from JDG, but they don't need it. Again, the single pick tools have been good. And I think, look, IG have kind of given... Hang on, they're jumping potentially onto way again. This one's a little bit too far.
Do they care too much? The damage is still decent-ish. Can't turn that into a kill or anything, so a little bit more perspective than useful. But hey, you've got a minute and a half until the next really big objective, so you can afford to be a little bit more profligate, is the word I like to use with these ults. Throw them around, see what sticks.
For sure. I think that when you're kind of in these transition moments where you have the cooldown reduction anyway, you've got level 16 for Honky, you don't care nearly as much for it. You're absolutely right. And IG, they just don't have the damage. They don't have damage. There's a 3-item Ezreal. Maybe if everyone gets layered into the same CC again, it'll matter. But I think the problem is now, if you do that onto the Ambessa, the Ashe kills you from behind them at this point with this amount of damage. And if you go onto the Ashe, then probably the Jarvan Ambessa TF land enough CC onto you that you can't cleanly kill them with a Lulu there too. So I think JDG, we said that we liked their draft more coming out of the, well, out of the draft, right? Out of the very start of the game. But IG did have an ability maybe to front to back 5v5 later with the Scion. I think that really, the thing which things turned around so much though was around this TF getting so much further ahead than IG wanted. And it meant that every time that the TF has been off the map, IG have either had to be very respectful or of course die. That's going to be the Scion jumping forward, splits them away. Gala does have flash, gets roots in, cleanse out.
Turn around now as the encore does land onto Gala, has burned his cleanse, but Arrow's now back onto way. He's left alone with his team. The Wild Growth knocks him out. Out comes the Destiny Gate. Xiaoshu buys the time from 3 members, and Renan needs to back away the public case. You can just wide the speed up enough to keep them safe, but of course Breathe with no flash and no hope goes down. Xiaoshu brings him low, and the Scion turns into a zombie, and the Cranberries begin to sing.
Yeah, Gala has really been putting out so much damage. He blows the cleanse, but I think he even keeps his flash throughout all of that. Renard, I have to say, also missed a charm onto a CC target again there. A little bit slow to the play, but hard to make it to the play there. Yeah, Gala actually ends up surviving with the flash. That's big for him. Means he can flash out of the next play. So you IG don't have the damage. Renard doesn't have the ultimate. I mean, maybe Jachi can do something that's very hard in the 3v5.
Charms went wide. That means Honky can really threaten from the side of Xiao. She's coming over as well. They don't know he's there. Jachi has to cleanse. The gold card was Captain Jack. The exhaust comes on down. Flash on forward now from Mako. Sorry, from Vampire to get the polymorph. I apologize. It's Jachi that falls. Mako's on the Seraphine, wondering where her support act is. Flash from the Ahri. They do get a little bit of CC to prevent Xiaoshu from fully running them down, but I don't know whether he's going to stop. He's diving turrets here. How deep does he want to go? He's got a big old shield. He now gets charmed. This looks a little deep. I will not lie to you. And he gets wild growth. He does. He's actually forced the flash from Mako. He finally goes. Breathe is back. They have got the Baron. They can keep on shoving. Xiaoshu had fun with it, I'll say that. Misses the flag and drag out because it went through the turret and overextended. Breathe still falls, turret still falls, Honku now falls. JDG, I don't know whether you needed to do that. That was a 2 for 3.
What it was, Sam, was a mess. JDG walk away with the Baron. They do lose 2 off of the play. I'm not going to blame Jachi for that Baron contest. He's literally the only person with agency, and he has to do something. Yes, he gets polymorphed and he died, but this game is not on Jachi. It's on, realistically, it's on mid lane. You know, Renard, I've yet to see him land important charms. Again, they actually failed to charm the Jarvan on the way out as well. I feel like just he's had a very difficult game. He's going for the Leandry's third because he's on a real... I mean, the game's just too far gone at this point. He's 4k down. It doesn't matter what he builds at this point. It's just kind of game over. Real credit to JDG playing through so many of these pick combos. Vampire gets his 2,500th assist, well off of someone like Mako, but of course for a player who still viewed as a newer player within the LPL. Remember, he has been playing since 2024, 3 years in, 2.5k, pretty good for him.
Live we go. Last roll of the dice, I think, from Invictus Gaming. If they can get to a soul point, Wade's going to ult in. He's not found a lot of success with those at all. Out comes Honku with the reposition. In they go with a wonderful little knock-up. They got a GA to play with and they need to use it. Xiaoshu in the backline threatens poor old Jachi, who's got no ability to survive that Mbessa. The wild growth doesn't, or rather keeps alive the Jarvan. Triple kill to Gala, who lands an arrow to help Xiaoshu get another full house. 3 for 1, 2 for another.
JDG had a rocky start to the game with their first team fight, but they recover magnificently with pick combo after pick combo. IG, we thought they might have issues in the mid lane, Sam. It's a little bit of an understatement. They have issues in the mid lane. JDG destroy them through the twisted fate of Honku.
Honku Junja come over from the LCP and they put the likes of Renard and Wei into the bin. Not great at all from the side of Invictus Gaming's mid jungle, but credit over to JDG, who managed to wrestle control of the game through that lane and convert it into later stages.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the laning phase had gone a little bit better for IG in that mid lane, if they hadn't given up those 2 early kills, I think we would be having a different conversation, Sam. Obviously not the case here. I think that Honku just got away with too much gold. It meant that he could survive the second play, because he, of course, had the extra gold towards the Rod of Ages earlier. JDG looking very coordinated there. I liked that draft a lot. They played it out well once they got into the mid game, despite that first teleport from Xiaoshu really leading them into some awkward positions.
And Gala and Vampire turned up at the same time, which is good to see. They played out a non-pressure lane quite well. The team fight was good from them. Mid jungle played well. Xiaoshu, that one teleport that sucked. Slightly rough early lane, but later on the Ambassador got to do Ambassador things, follow up on all of the continual pick, just kept running at them.
But for IG, this has got to be a little bit of a real, like, frustrating moment, because I actually think, look, bot lane, 1 lane, I think Jachi had a good game. I think that Mako actually had some good CC combos. Him dying later, what the hell do you do against a dive combo when, you know, the TF is so tanky, you can set up from advance. Breathe held Xiaoshu into account. I think for a lot of that game, I think Breathe was the better top laner than Xiaoshu. And even Wei sat there like, well, I can't do shit. I mean, he was definitely not respectful enough around the TFL in mid game. That was an issue. But I think a lot of the rest of the team will be quite frustrated. They should be, and they'll have a right to be. I don't know what they are, of course. I think they have a right to be frustrated over the nature of that game.
I agree. I think I still have. I think Renard, completely agree with you. I think I would also probably raise an eyebrow at what I saw from Wei. How did we see a successful Pantheon ult? Ever?
Yes, yeah, we saw it in the bot lane river. That was a big one there too.
That was that one, but like it felt very few and far between, and he got picked off pretty regularly in a way that was not great.
But this is why I would say, like, look, I don't think Wei was perfect this game, but when your mid lane is that much of a black hole of pressure, you fail the early plays like that, and then Renard gives a free lane over.
I hear you.
It means that you can't go for the plays onto the TF, because he tried to ult onto the TF multiple times, and Renard, you know, the flash charm in top, where he could have just charmed, flashed, then charmed, because he lost vision. That was a bit sad there too. Like, there's a lot from IG to be frustrated for. So both these things can be true. I think JDG very coordinated as soon as it hit like the 20, you know, going just up into the 20-minute mark. IG on the other side, like, there's just a black hole in the mid lane.
Yeah.
I don't like to dunk on players too much, but when it's so obvious to you as the viewer here as well. It's obvious to us on cast here too. Renard is just not it from IG. He has a limited champion pool and he's getting destroyed by Honky.
Gala gets to put out some very impressive DPM numbers there. Both AD carries roughly, or hitting that 1,000 DPM mark roughly. Actually more about the 900, but still very, very strong. Gala well over it there. More like 1.2 to 1.1. Very pleased with his own performance there, and just got to hit Sion quite a lot really as the game went on. And the early snowball through that mid jungle converted very, very well.
Okay, well, folks, time for our little bit of marketing here as well. My name is Alex. This is Sam. We are brothers. My name is Nymaera, and that's and Nymaera Initialise. You can call us what you want. We'll give you that freedom. And if you've been enjoying watching these games, hearing about these teams, hearing about these players, perhaps you've not heard about them before. There's no official broadcast, so it's quite hard to get all the information on these teams anymore. Well, we're here to do that for you. There is no official broadcast, so we end up casting it here. We've done thousands of games here now on this channel. We started back in 2024 when they only did half of the games per year. Then the official broadcast got shut down for the English language, and we thought, hell, we'll do it ourselves. And we've managed to track these players, track these teams, learn about, JDG's fall from grace and then rise back up potentially towards it as well. We've learned about players like Jachi, who came out from the LDL scene and was a real breath of fresh air, and players like Mako taking a break, coming back. All of these legendary players, both young and old. Learn about them here. If you like what you're hearing, think about dropping a like, a follow, subscribe, and dropping a subscription if you can, or a one-time donation to the Ko-fi. It makes a big difference to us because, again, we're not funded to do this. No one is doing the LPL anymore. You're only going to get this information if you do end up, following us and seeing what you can get from it as well. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the stream.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Lovely to have you all in here. Thank you for the Get Hydrated from Basically Dirt. Is that what you call coffee these days? Appreciate that.
A cup of brown.
Also, I'd like to see the Bebe. Good to see you in chat, Bebe, as well. Feeling a bit sad about how things are going. I don't blame you. Not a great look from IG this time around. And questions well from, how am I pronouncing your name? Jameful QN, Jachin. The J is what we're going to go with for now until I get confirmation on a preferred pronunciation on that one. It was Kraken Slayer Phantom Dancer into the LDR. So old school Ashe build that's kind of been common, not the newfangled Hex Optic / Hubris stuff we've seen of late.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we ended up seeing that build come through, and I mean, Kraken Slayer Phantom was pretty good uptime DPS.
Yeah.
I mean, still, I don't think it's the best build, but it's still, you get to that with a Lulu kind of buffing up, and it's still good into mid and late game if someone's pinned down in front of you forever. The combo play from JDG was really good. Like, I mean, I hate to put it down to like a single issue game, but like if Renard didn't let Honkyu get so far ahead through some unforced errors for himself, it's different if it's a forced error.
Yeah.
But like if through unforced errors, I think this game is much more playable. We saw that IG still good team fighters on the whole. You did DPS for the Sion. Hex Optics is very good DPS. Storm Raze is actually very good DPS too. So both those builds are actually still very good on the whole. Right, do you need a break for anything, Sam?
I could use a cup of tea.
Cool. Can you get me a coffee?
Of course I
then?
can. Yeah. Not a problem at all.
Now, I need to decide whether I'm going to do some... I think I need to do some more runs. I did qualify for Group A already, just because my augury cap is kind of busted. I'm just...
You're absolutely fine on that front.
Yeah, I got through to my Group A, so that's fine, because augury cap is, busted as all hell, and I've got like a 1200 speed, power, and wit augury. Honky walks away player again, no surprise there. I didn't get medium S, but the stats are so good, I'm like, screw it, I'm using it anyway. It also has a Nimble Navigator and a bunch of other things too. Currently, I'm actually running a vodka. I was gonna do... Oh yeah, Helo Gala was really good. He was really, really good, don't you worry, yeah. Honkyu is quickly becoming one of my favorite mid laners in the LPL. He's really cool. He's a very dynamic player, big playmaker. I really enjoy watching him. Yeah, I really enjoy watching him. Yeah, Honkyu massively MVP. He outplayed in the 1v2. The way he baited in that first gank and then kind of went wild with it is crazy. A couple of votes towards Gala, which I think makes some sense. Okay, so IG choose first pick, blue side on the other side, no surprises there either. Oh, I gotta turn the camera on because sometimes there are issues with the adverts here. Excuse, but why do the broadcasters have epic ties? So in LPL, on LPL, they basically get their outfits kind of tailored for them. So similar thing happened in Valorant actually at the start of it, although, which I thought was really cool, by the way. So if you watch, say for instance, like the first couple of years of Valorant, you watched like Geo, so Geo/Geometric on Twitter. Geo, who's one of the hosts and analysts, one of the analysts for Valorant. Her outfits on Valorant were so fucking cool. And a lot of them were just like, look, you know, we're making this for you. This is your outfit, you know, which is really, really cool. Which helps. It helps someone like me because I'm not great at determining my own outfits. I don't really know where to get cool outfits for stuff like that, especially different ones which look different on broadcast. I got one or two pieces, but yeah. I wish I'd explored that a little bit more actually. Because I'm not great at the whole fashion thing. I just kind of wing it. It works all right for me, but yeah. Okay, did we run adverts yet? No, I'm gonna run adverts now then. We'll do that. Jesus Christ. There was a tweet basically saying, is BDD the best player in the world? And people are like, oh my god, yes, and they're just completely ignoring Knight. I think Knight is the best player in the world right now. I think that, just look at the way he's playing. Even if he ends up giving a shutdown or two, like in mid-game, I feel like he's just so good. I think Knight's got to be like best player in the world right now, no?
I put my phone down.
I don't know.
What have I done? How have I done this?
I don't know. I get it. If my t-shirt has two colors, I already feel very fancy. The thing is, I actually feel like plain t-shirts of a color work really well. They work well for me because it means I can do something fancy elsewhere. So admittedly, not a very good ex of mine, which is most of them, but I think that so they had like a fashion degree, and they were like, my color. You know, everyone has a color. My color is no color. Just wear like. Oh god, just wear monochrome. Dude, the amount of people on that thread are like, wow, BDD's best player in the world. They're just not watching LPL. They're just not watching LPL. You're reporting yourself. BDD is really good. Yes, he is. He's really, really good. But I think that if they're like, oh yeah, he's definitely best player in the world, they're just not watching. That they ain't watching, Sam. They ain't watching. If you can trust all chat, then the best player in the world was the Zed I had yesterday. Hey, there are some great solo queue Zed players out there. Okay, so we wait now for our second game of our second series. Could be a bit of a quick one, folks. Could be a very quick one. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I Want to unsubscribe from this? What is that? Can I unsubscribe from Apple Market Research emails? That'd be great. Okay, cool. Apropos of nothing, but I'm glad my man's looks good, and it's probably more Assume being on a tear than Gala being trash. Assume has been great. I mean, Assume has been really, really good. Now, look, Gala, the problem with JDG is just that their schedule makes it very hard to actually get like a proper benchmark for them. Because, I mean, they're even playing a series tomorrow. The reason it doesn't matter for tomorrow is because it's against WE. WE are not a good team right now. They're playing with a new jungler. They should get absolutely destroyed. So this is the one time where I'm like, okay, JDG, they're probably not going to get pushed tomorrow, so they can prep everything for today and not care about prepping for tomorrow if, you know, at Extreme, right? At like, at Extremis. You know, you look at, what's JDG's schedule after that? Because next week they don't have adjacent games. That's big for them. They're playing against NIP and WE, though. That's a bit sad. Then they have 3 series in 5 days. That's okay. They got a day break between all of them. But they have Top Esports, BLG, AL. Top Esports, that oh my god, like their week 6 is Top Esports on Wednesday, BLG on Friday, AL on Sunday. That's a hell of a gauntlet. How are they going to prep for all that? Like, I want to see these teams actually have a run-up and be able to prep for... I mean, I guess, look, at the end of the day, I just want to see the games anyway, but how do you prep for all those teams? Gala's definitely struggled these past few series, but I don't think he's washed yet. No, I mean, he had a really good series versus... No, what was his bad series? He had a bad series versus BLG, I think it was. And then he had a good series... No, it was a bad series versus Anyone's Legend, then a... Shit. Mate, it's too hard to check, actually. There's too many... No. Bad series versus... NIP, Gala got destroyed. And then he did very, very well versus Weber when Vampire wasn't doing very well. That was it. So Vampire had a good series versus NIP, but then not versus Weibo, and then Gala was the opposite. I feel like you said the same about NIP in terms of prep and schedule. Yep, it's an argument you can make for a lot of teams here in the LPL. Typically the ones that have their arenas. That's been the big difference, really. I mean, hey, very cool. What is that? Hey, I saw Cyrillic there. I don't know what language that is, though. I mean, multiple languages use the characters. Just the camera a little bit lower. Okay, it's into draft 2 now, pretty much. Okay, so IG, they need to have Renard on just something which can just have value without him having to have too much hands check for it. I think the team fight composition, not bad for them. I think that bot lane went well. I think top lane went well. I think Wei, I think you can give him a lot of caveats because his mid lane was just not in the game. And I do think, though, that the level 1 prep from JDG was a lot better than IG's. The way that they warded out was very important. Now into game 2 and the draft for it. So let's get into it. Game 1 saw a lot of our power picks like the Ashe Seraphine, the Ambessa, Jarvan, Pantheon, all out. They're all power picks. Stuff like the Ezreal, the Ahri, the Sion, Twisted Fate even. I wouldn't call them power picks in the same way. Lulu, I think, is. Jarvan, Orianna off the table. See whether we're going to get... Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to have to build a chair around again as we go through that. Appreciate that very, very much. Karma Band away. We still have... What do we have? I mean, we have Rumble. Rumble and Varus are the 2 big ones right now, which stick out in my mind in terms of what this draft should revolve around. Vi Band away, good for both these junglers. I mean, Wei actually in some Chinese dialects, Mandarin dialects, actually Wei is Vi. That is the champion's name. Karma, of course, banned away. We've talked about that one already. Still have Rise up 2. Now we'll see whether Renard feels like comfortable going towards that. IG did ban away the Azir from Honky in second round last game, but I don't think they'll be as easy lead going towards that one
a
here.
little bit again, hasn't it? It's doing quite well, particularly in the LCK. People are finding a bit more success on it again.
Honky was 0-3 on it this split, though. So he's not found the success, and I think individually he's not actually played that well on it either. Remember him shuffling in and then failing to get the level 6 in that one play?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's very close run stuff. I'm not saying it's like straight up inting, but he's not getting those same kind of like knife edge plays in the way that he was at all.
Tabe here will be relatively pleased to have that last game played out. Make no mistake about it. On the other side, Invictus Gaming wondering, that wasn't quite right through mid jungle. We need to fix that one relatively swiftly. We've been having that conversation. The Lucian ban away from Jachi and Mako.
No Lucian Nami or Lucian Milio.
I mean, both picks superb for Mako, and also not going to put too much fine a point on it, but Jachi was always a big Lucian player, allows him to potentially flex that way. The other champion I kind of associate with Wei, though, is a love of that Nocturne. He's one of those few who will early round a Nocturne.
Gives you really good ability to fight at level 1 and level 3. You know, these level 1 through 3, very little beats a Nocturne in the 1v1. Means that you can't have Junja walking into his jungle in the same way. Now, you can lock in something like a Nami lane for JDG right now if you wanted, and say, screw it, we're going to go power bot lane. Varus is also available, though. Technically, it can be a flex to top lane, but more often seen in that bot lane unless it's into the Rumble. JDG think about the rest of their lanes now. So they pick a jungle matchup here. They want something that can, at least survive against the Nocturne, because if Nocturne works at you, then that's a problem as well. There is the Shinzao available, does lose to the Nocturne early on. Something like the Wukong scales better, but has less early power.
Some really fun hovers there. Maokai is back.
Okay.
Maokai is back. I think we've seen some very, very strong plays from the Maokai. It's good with the Varus as well. Very easy to hit your poke when you're rooted in place.
It also means that the Nocturne kind of has to jump into the ultimate as he flies in. It's extra damage. The peel from the Maokai is very good onto a Varus. Typically, if you lock in a Varus, it's kind of self-counter pick against the Nocturne, because Varus hates playing against Nocturne on the whole. Jace for Breathe, potentially very powerful. I think that was banned away in the last game, actually. Jace been coming back as a glass cannon top lane build. Not many champions are dealing that well with it right now, especially with the removal of lane swaps. Jace is just happy to 1v1 lane. Makes a huge difference to him. So IG, do they lock in a bot lane champion now? You presume that they'd like to, but IG not giving as much draft priority to bot lane this time around, which is not always the way you beat JDG. Normally, you want to have that strong bot lane play. Jhin would give you it's basically like Varus Light. They do a very similar thing. We used to see this trade a lot last year.
And it's one of the few AD champions that can follow the Nocturne's dive with damage at the very least, especially if you don't have the Kai'Sa or the Zeri in meta. Jhin can kind of do it with the W and the R. Jace similarly with the accelerated shot blast. You are more in range than most champions to follow a Nocturne.
So in terms of the champions and lock in with it, you can definitely lock in a melee support. If you want, that's probably going to be the way of it. Vampire goes into Alistar. Of course, he is a big Alistar player. I think it's maybe his best champion.
Certainly the one I've seen the most iconic plays on. I think that's fair.
Because look, Vampire, when it boils down to it, he's a big player. Now, in terms of some of the play between those plays, that's where we've often had more issues in terms of how he's moving around the map or more considered plays. But the way he makes the huge knockups happen in a team fight, the way that he makes the big laning plays too with his flash combos, he makes the most of that. I think that Vampire has really made a name for himself. I think that's one of the reasons why JDG picked him up. It's like, look, we got Tabe and Shabai as coaches. We can coach the in-between stuff. If you keep that lethal playmaking, then that's a really good thing for us to play around, because most players don't even unlock that in their career at all. Rakan banned away from Mako, Azir from Honkyu. IG not banning away top lane matchups, just happy to leave the Jace in that matchup, presumably, unless it gets kind of flexed mid, but I don't think you want to give it to Renard, especially given his woes in laning phase.
I've been playing too much ARAM Mayhem. I saw a bit of a conversation over in the Onivia chat saying, do you think JDG will get a tank this game? When I read tank engine, I don't think you can get that in Summoner's Rift. That's the kind of
thing is I think a lot of League of Legends new items will probably come out of augments, which worked really well in ARAM. I think the augments allow you to from arena and then stuff like that. So I wonder whether cruelty will ever become an item where if you hard CC someone, it ends up adding damage into it. That could be absolutely crazy. Nico away from Mako, so a lot of the choice supports with the Jhin now gone. Now you probably are looking at a Nautilus for Mako. I don't think there's you could Braum as well, actually. That could also be fine into the Alistar.
With Vayne kind of being up and around, Vayne can be quite annoying for the Jace, who doesn't necessarily have the most fun getting the Qs off. if Vayne can tumble out of them.
I think that Jace is really good into Vayne because you tumble into auto attack range and he just slams you with the hammer.
Yeah, I've just seen a fair number of times where people look for a shot blast or the Q and you just tumble out of the range instead and kind of play from that. That would be a really good counter on Jace. Jace can do nothing into Tryndamere.
That is the 2021 counter into Jace. We used to see this in 21 and 22, I believe it was, where we saw like Jace mid and Tryndamere mid would come out to it. Jace can't do anything against this. You're absolutely right. This is some great tech from JDG. I love this. Xiaoshu should have himself a great matchup with sustain. Jace can't one-shot you because you don't die.
And the thing is, you can't disengage because your speed up gets taken out by the cowards. You get called a coward. The chicken turns up on top of you, and he runs at you.
The mocking shout.
The mocking shout, exactly. And the thing is, once he starts throwing down that ultimate, he dives you onto the turret. There's no way of staying safe. It's very difficult. It's one of the worst matchups. You need steel caps and a prayer.
I love this pickup. I love this pickup. I think it's very intelligent. I think JDG have clearly been cooking away in the back room up in the research and development department. Nautilus did come through for makeup. No surprises there. What are they going to do about blind pick mid? The Rise is the easy one. It does leave something like the Onivia or the Cassiopeia to honk you, though. I think JDG have a really good composition, Sam. They have Alistar Maokai defending an entrenched backline of the Varus plus whatever mid laner they lock in. And then top lane has a great matchup into the Jace. I don't even think the Nocturne is going to be able to save him from that. So JDG, I think, walk away regardless if they will lock in his last pick, as long as it's something that can function in lane and then be something that can work alongside the Alistar and the Maokai, using that front line to do something. I think it works very well.
Yeah, I wondered about the Yone. It's not bad here. Actually can threaten some of these other scarier options. I think Annie might be risky because the tenacity becomes a little bit too potent there in terms of Merc trade value.
Okay. Now, there is an issue here in that it's a full AD team now. There might be a chance of armor stack from IG. Of course, the Maokai does bring some significant magic damage, but in terms of a team fight-wide thing, it could be a bit of an issue. Yone will go mid, Tryndamere will go top, no flexing around like that. Gonna go into a quick ad break so we don't get ads in game. If you want to hear us talk about the competitions and don't have ads as well, might as well subscribe and it'll help support us too as the custodians of the LPL region since the official broadcast died. I think that IG, their lanes are going to be hard, Sam. I think that the Tryndamere, if you get some lucky crits at level 1 from your passive, it really, really hurts.
Yeah.
Bot lane can be fine, but it's not that volatile, which means that Gala and Ramp are probably going to be happy to scale up into the late game. And if it gets into late game and it's at about a 5v5, JDG, I think they just walk at objectives and win, Sam. They have Maokai traps, they have Alistar being the front line, you've got Yone, Tryndamere. Maybe they go too heavy melee and then Rise does some wild stuff, but I don't think it's going to be that easy to do. Coaches will fist bump and we'll get onto the Rift.
I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for this one. It's been a while since we've seen Maokai Yone. It was a nasty combo in the likes of 21, going towards the likes of, I want to say 22 as well. We saw a fair amount of it. Was that old Scout Tarzan combo from LNG that was horrifying to watch. Very excited to see a bit more of it, make no mistake. Should be cool to see. I think there's a pretty good angle for it here. We love the Tryndamere. It's not fun for either the Rise or the Jace in particular. Rise at least can rune prison the Tryndamere and try and run away from there. Ghost will help. Phase rush on both solo lanes help. Jayo's first before we keep breaking things down. Right, so eyes on some of these runes. Double phase rush for the solo lanes. Absolutely, you are going to want that into a Yone and a Tryndamere. You don't get the standard fight. You need to run away real fast. Tryndamere's not gone towards Conqueror or anything. He's going towards Grasp, looking to just have that little bit of extra tankiness. He's gone Ignite, though, I will note, because he wants that kill threat and actually the 1v2 threat as well.
Yeah, the Grasp is strong in laning phase. Walking for the passive Aftershock. Uses the W for the shield. This is like, W star Nautilus really nasty into a lot of lanes. It allows you to kind of walk up, get the extra damage on Nautilus. That's quite nice too. But then also the ability to shrug off with the Aftershock. Aftershock plus that shield makes it very hard to trade back against it. So Jachi and Mako taking early control of the lane for now. We'll see whether the level 2 and the level 3 to 4 bounce back comes through from JDG's bot lane.
The spinning slash forwards comes on forwards.
But it missed because Breathe used the acceleration gate because he's gone E-start to make sure he can get himself. This is Zeus tech. Zeus used to do this a lot where you go for the E-start, use it to break distance with melee fighters, and then kind of go forwards with your ability to kind of like hammer shot back if it comes to it as well. We saw a little bit of this to be able to sidestep away. Has got the phase rush as well. Now, what you'll notice in this top lane matchup is that Xiaoxu will try and break the phase rush, get it on one wave, and then the next wave is such a long cooldown that you can't really do much about it.
There's another Q coming. Renard needs to be a little afraid as that fake death mark procs briefly. Not necessarily leads too much there. And I think Honkyu, happy enough with the early state of the lane, had to burn a pot or two, but hey, so be it. You can probably get away with the Yone into the Rise better than most mages because you just get to trade with him over those extended fights a little better than a lot of other mages who can be quite obnoxious.
So you can see that. Renard's trading back fine. They both use their pots. The Yone is not a good laning phase champion. I think people have a lot of misconceptions about this champion. If Yone has a good laning phase, then he's broken because he scales so well. Breed doing very well with the phase rush there, actually. Trading well against Xiaoxu early. Largely fought Xiaoxu in the first game too. Xiaoxu, of course, one of our better top laners here within the LPL. Good stacked arrow there from Gala, but hang on a second, that's a bit nasty. Forces the body block out of Vampire because Gala was rooted up in front of him.
It was a very well done body block, actually. I appreciate the pull up into headbutt away combo there. We love that. Didn't even get the Riptide onto Gala. Very good work.
That tends to be the matchup for the Alistair into the Nautilus, really, but then again, lost a lot there. Can potentially get him back.
Oh, nice. That's good work. The flash for the pulverized Vampire, feeling it. And actually, I think they can keep running. There's not a lot of mana from Gala, but he's certainly get those autos done. They don't have a lot in the way of wards. And they just lose vision. It's all gone wrong.
Mako makes the difference. Vampire will get the kill back, but Mako outplays as Vampire looks for the big one. Mako is the support that comes out on top.
Oh, if they just had a ward for the bush. Gala has to flash, doesn't have the mana. They can't see him in there. They get the roots with the staggering blows, and it all goes wrong.
And one of the big things which happens in that play is one of the core tenets of 2v2. Damage onto AD carry is better than damage onto the support. But watch what happens in the 2v2 again, because despite Vampire thinking he has a big play here, he loses so much HP to just the regular combo that Mako is happy to just flash out a tower. One tower shot for that combo doesn't change that much, and they get the heal before the anti-heal of the Varus comes through as well. And you'll watch here, the damage onto the AD carry matters more. They get damage onto a Nautilus, doesn't matter. If that W lands from Jachi, I'm pretty sure they don't even get the kill back. Vampire lucky to get that one there, but really Jachi and Mako understanding that core tenet of damage on AD carry better than onto the support, it makes the difference.
It really, really does. And I thought with that health bars there that they were going to be able to get it. But Gala, no mana to follow up after that hail of arrows came on down. They didn't have vision in that second bush. Mako gets to turn around with the staggering blows, has the Riptide, back off cooldown. It all goes a little bit awry. Now, early steel catch from Jachi as well.
Yeah.
Relatively sensible here. Again, yes, there is a world where, of course, Yone's passive allows him to do more magic damage than you think. Yes, Blade of the Ruin King is somewhat agnostic of armor. Yes, of course, you are still going to have the damage from the Maokai, but there's still good value into a lot of auto-attack and AD champions.
But the thing you mentioned about the Blade of the Ruin King there, remember that Steel Caps also reduces the on-hits, which is still damage from an auto-attack, so it actually still reduces that too.
Very good point.
So at the end of the day, it's coming from auto-attacks. There are 3 auto-attackers on the other side. Very, very good. You know, I saw a lot of people complaining about Jachi, and to be honest, I was one of these people talking about Jachi, you know, being so bad in lane and not being very good in the early game. Now, the thing which you have to balance that out with is if he gets ahead, Jachi is damn good. There is a reason why he was so highly valued by IG. I'm gonna clear out a ward here. Spell shield onto the sapling. We'll stop that damage coming through from Junja, who will be going towards that Leandries first. Maybe Jachi can do something special here. Renard is not, you know, out of the game in mid lane. Of course, he's not having, you know, the funnest time here. Good knockback there. Breed doing quite well in the matchup. Was holding that staggering blow. Not staggering blow, the other
Thundering
one.
blow.
Thundering blow, that's the one. They're all the same. Something blow. Leaf blowers are going to be coming out next time.
Excuse me, I know we're in Berlin, but come on now.
Sapling onto the dragon spot the sap. Might have ourselves a big fight coming in here. Does he get the level 6 off of this? Not sure. Yes, he does. He gets the level 6, so he gets himself the paranoia first.
Junja doesn't have that, and actually with the wards behind him, I wonder whether Junja could have been a little bit of risk there. I think it would have been a bit too scary with Honkyu around as well. Is debating coming over to fight over this dragon. I think without the Nature's Grasp, that will be a little bit tricky. I do always have to double check Twisted Advance and Nature's Grasp sometimes get conflated in my brain. It's one of those ones that just catches me out, guys. I don't know why.
Now, there's some hang on a second, might be a fight over this too. Honku gets his E out, trying to push out the wave. Renard's trading pretty okay here. Of course, Yone will get the back from the E as well, so trade's a little better there. Has flash, has ult, has the fruit to go towards too. Junja, they can dive this for free. They haven't covered this well. The Nocturne is coming top lane. Can he flash the Maokai ults? No, he can't.
Grass proc still holding, spinning slash still available, undying rage still available. They have to burn very little. The ignite is burned. That's about it. And Xiaoshu happy with that kill. Does have to be a little bit scared here. Will have that ability to heal himself.
Hang on,
Wait, potentially ult.
Wait, can ult him. If he's on vision, he can kill him. Doesn't get it. Very close. I think that could have been a straight up kill there. Vampire really again. Look, so the body blocks in this lane are, you kind of have to body block. This is why the Nautilus can be quite good into the Alistar, is that if the AD carry ever comes under threat, the Alistar has to tank up the next skill shot. You can see right here that it's much easier for Jachi and Maker to find the kill com onto Vampire. He's got the spellbook. He didn't go for the aftershock. That's a big reason why this laning phase isn't going very well for them. And JDG, they've been contested way more in 2v2 in this split than they were in the last one. Last split, I think they were clearly best laning bot lane in the league. I think they struggled quite a lot, though, in split 2 so far. And I think that we've seen them slip down from being best laning bot lane into the league into maybe 3rd or 4th. I think that definitely Fengyue and Jaculov are better than them. I think that definitely Assume and Draw are better than them, and we'll see whether Jachi and Mako actually make it better. That's an unexpected one myself. Xiaoshu still doesn't have the ultimates. Do they jump onto them with a Nocturne? No, not yet. Just looking to crash in. Nocturne yet to pull that first ult of the game.
Mako's come top, just gets level 6 off it, stealing some XP from the wave. I think Xiaoshu needs to leave here.
Yeah, he does, and that means that Breathe is still actually ahead 10 CS and gets to play topside. So despite the fact that there is a kill in the matchup, Breathe is still pretty happy. Still about 20 seconds or so until Xiaoshu's ult comes back up. Junja is there. Gala getting 1v1 by Jachi. Ult for root traded.
Indeed, there'll be the cleanse out course. Gala's gone towards that TP. Good work from IG there to kind of keep this Jace in the game. Jace will be more useful in those team fights, I imagine, unless you get a very good Maokai combo. But there will hit a point where the Jace is just not be able to deal with this Tryndamere. We are going to fight over the grubs. I think getting grubs for a Yone and a Tryndamere sounds rather sensible.
JDG not in a bad spot right now. I mean, Alistar has ult, full HP. They don't have the Jhin here. He's a lot of the gold for IG. What happens here? Does Honky just look for the big combo hook onto him from Mako? Just forced him to E back early.
Does a little, but will force a reset there. 2 grubs, and you'll take that and back away. Happy enough.
While this is happening, AD carries
wow.
That's a...
Are we sure?
What are you doing?
What? That is National Warp into the Sunday.
What are you doing?
Icarus?
I might need to take a step away. I actually might need to take a step away.
That cannot be real. That cannot be real.
I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking. I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking.
I get where you're coming from. Yep. That is genuinely one of the worst players I've seen in Pro League of Legends.
I'm sorry, chat. I genuinely don't have words. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
We can joke, but that was genuinely
atrocious. Upside, they have double ults to go up here. Breathe is, I mean, is he likely dead? I think he is. Ignites on there. Alistar ult, easy dive for them.
Undying Rage, get a spinning slash forward, doesn't even burn it. There you go. Bloodlust comes on forwards, gets a bit of a heal there from Vampire with the spellbook, backs away on it. Chat, not really a lot to say about that one. I don't think we're even going to get a replay. I don't think they want to show that.
Well, that's a play which just happened. Wow. Okay, so IG behind now from that top lane matchup. I think that part of that is because Renard, of course, died in that situation and meant that IG's topside is just so destabilized.
Well, that loses Breathe the game because he is now into a Tryndamere that's 3-0 off the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, the kill, of course, went onto the Tryndamere. Didn't have to get anything. Now he's got the Ravenous Hydra, so he can combo up. He can heal up for a long time.
The moment he gets Berserker, well, the thing is, Breathe played out this early stage just fine. He's gone Ghostblade, correct with the phase rush, allows you to try and outspace the Tryndamere and run away. That is still going to be a problem. I would be tempted to go Swifties in this match, but he's gone Ionian just for the speed up, or just for the cooldown. So be it.
I think basically that allows him to have more ease. He misses his combo there off the wave, was trying to just tag it there. Breathe. Look, this is the point where the matchup falls apart, and I don't think it's his fault. He's actually played his 1v1 fine, just that JDG have dove him better on the side lane. IG, they've not been there at the start of it. I don't think Wei has pulled an ult this game so far, and struggling on that front. Jachi is 1,000 gold ahead. I mean, maybe the Jhin can do something. Hex Optic first, that's good. Doesn't get hit by the spinning splash there. Look, Breathe is playing the matchup well. He actually out-trades him there. He dodges the spinning slash, gets the trade back, and he does well. He's still gonna die because he's like 800 gold down. It's sad because Breathe is playing individually. Well, he might jump onto Mako or force the flash here. They do. Good flash away from Mako.
Yes, indeed. The headbutt pop was a ghost pop there from the spellbook. Over towards the dragons we go. IG would like to get their second one here. Junja, are we throwing ults in? I don't know. Thank you for the sub, guys. I appreciate it.
And the Tavern Keeper following before, appreciate you as well. Appreciate the follows and the subscribe, folks. Obviously, we're watching some League of Legends, folks. That's what we're doing. IG, I mean, it's on Jachi now, right? Maybe if the Jhin gets some crazy value. The Jin's not bad into this comp. Even against the Alistar, because you can poke out the Alistar before he uses ult. Now, if he pops his ult, you're not doing damage, sure. But if you manage to poke down the Alistar with the Jhin, it's really problematic. Vampire needs to be full HP before these fights, or he is going to get gunned down. If the Jhin is really fed, and he's gotten very fed through that laning phase, I think Gala and Vampire in both games, struggling in the laning phase in the 2v2, because I think Mako has been playing really, really well against them. In laning phase at least, and then maybe the Jhin can do something special.
Are you allowed to emote in game in pro? Yes, you are. Yes, you can use the cowbell on the Alistar, though be advised you may tilt your teammates, not just the opponent. Nice knock up there. That's a good chunk. Blade of the Ruin King is a thing. This will double proc on the way out, and ow.
There was a question in chat as well about the build from Renard. Now, if I were the Rise player here, I would be going towards Steel Caps Frozen Heart. I think if you go Steel Caps Frozen Heart, it's... I mean, maybe the problem is the Varus kills you anyway. But I think at that point, the Yone and the Tryndamere, you can just run away from them. I don't think there's ever a world in which they win at that point. And that means that you at least have one side lane, which you're always going to be safe. I think if you get towards Steel Caps Frozen Heart, it's very, very hard for... enemy solo lanes to have much value. That was one of the worries I had, is actually the full AD, full auto attack, full... Because it kind of leaves Junja as the sole damage outside of that. I think you're looking for the recall. You can actually stop this. Very good stop from him on the recall.
It is worth noting that people assume that Maokai is low damage. That's not really true anymore. Between Scorch Claw from the jungle plus Leandries, your burn is actually very significant. And I'm going to put this out there, on the other side, no one really gets to build full tank. Yes, you can pick up a GA. Yes, you can pick up some steel caps. Jin's done that. The Nautilus will get a little bit there, but again, your support, how much can you really do to build something like a Randuin's as a support? Limited options there. You aren't going to be able to buy too much armor here, and I think that will become a problem as the game goes on. We'll see what Xiaoxu decides to do in terms of his armor pen options on the Tryndamere. I think Cyrilda's is probably an option. You could flex into some crit. You get crit, obviously, by your passives. You could also go LBR.
Yeah, Tryndamere builds are weird. Like, he's had a ton of builds over time. I'm not fully up to date. Now, a lot of the time, he'll go Flicker Blade second, because it means that you can go towards, like, just crazy spinning slash value, and it gives you crit anyway, Flicker Blades. And then I've seen Mortal Reminder. I have seen Cyrilda's at points in the past, not you always need it, Renard. You know, he should be able to shrug off this matchup eventually, but he doesn't have any armor just yet. Yone actually fine versus the Jace at this point, because he has a bit of lifesteal. Needs to be a bit careful because he has no armor, and if he gets eaten up poke, he can get burst out, so it's not like an instant win side lane.
Xiaoxu will have less fun against the Rise, it's worth saying. Rise's got more options to keep the Tryndamere.
That's why we're talking about the build. I think eventually the Tryndamere cannot deal with the Rise very easily.
Yone will always have a few more options, and Mako might well just be solo killed. Honkyu's feeling it. The pop back will surely be the death of the Nautilus.
I think the sapling makes the difference. Didn't think he was going to get full killed. Honkyu hops over. A very solid series from the young mid laner coming over from the LCP. You know, a lot of Honkyu's year has been quite up and down. This is one of the upswings, and now Sam, I think they just dive top lane again. Breathe does have flash. Gonna try and maybe get here. Junja can just get rid of some of the tower aggro. It's not enough. No one has been helping Breathe. No help.
He has literally got no room to breathe, and the irony is not lost on me. We're going to run walk top. Hongq still got his Q. We'll need to use it well. Knocks up the ride. Unbinds his soul briefly. We'll get locked out. Can pop back. That's a good Q again. The healing is strong. Way goes down. And now, unfortunately, Renard's in danger. The shield is good from the soul cleave. He gets to keep going. Maokai gets the other. They finally bring down the Yone, but Hongq is feeling it.
Hongq gets two, well, he assists in one, but he basically gets the 2 kills in top side. Junja is almost at the turret. Junja, what is happening? There's, just looking at the player cams there, no real reaction yet. Yeah.
Fast reset, wave shoved.
Bit of an awkward nose pick there. I guess, oh god, let me just get away from here. Fast reset, sure, yeah, but no gold goes over. Still an execute.
And they do also get that wave crash. There you go. A little bit unfortunate there from Junja. Without the flash and any minions to go to, he was dead anyways, at which point you just do what you have to do. Very fortunate not to kill a kill over. This is basically that replay. The Realm Walk comes in with the paranoia. Good initial Q3 there with the Mortal Steel to knock up Renard to prevent him from comboing with the Nocturne, who's then left out to dry. Renard tries to win out the 1v2. Unfortunately, at this point, the heals are coming on in, and this is a really scary point for the Yone. If he starts to get the Fleet Footwork proc, starts to get those Blade of the Ruin King procs, he becomes quite dangerous to live. We go, Mako's at half already from those saplings.
Yeah, IG, what do they do now? I think Garl is in a really scary spot despite 1,000 gold down. Teleport from the Tryndamere, has his ultimate. He's going to be really scary in the backline.
Vampire looks to headbutt Jat. You have to flash out, but there's still a mocking shout, a spinning slash, and the knock up from the depth charge will not, I think, keep Jatchi alive. The ignite, the Fleet Footwork, maybe actually. He does get to run away. The ignite doesn't quite tick him. There'll be a mocking shout onto Mako, who's desperate to body block for his AD carry. I wonder whether Xiaoqi can keep going. Yes, he can. He's got ult. Can't get into the base. Now needs to be a little afraid of the curtains getting called. Body block. No, it's not, because the twisted advance stops him from body blocking. The curtain call. The circus is in town, folks, but it's still JDG who are coming out on top.
It was a great coordinated engage from Vampire and Xiaoshu. Ult under turret. Renard goes down. Yone takes the head off another. Hongq, the real hero of this game and this series, but in that fight we'll get a replay of it, but it's the combined engage of Vampire forcing the flash, which then allows Xiaoshu to have a big flank, which ends up making the difference. Watch it here. Vampire goes in, forces the flash out of Jatchi. He knows he's not likely to get the full combo, but he knows it's still taking a summoner or two away from him as Xiaoshu comes in. Jatchi does a good job disengaging, but he has to play on the disengage. Breathe is not really in position to do too much work himself. He's forced on the defensive too. Very hard to play the Nocturne and the Rise in this kind of game where just everything gets very split. There's a ton of melees when the big 5v5s. I think in side lanes they can play it, but I just don't think they've been good enough at playing the map, and I think that, you know, Renard's failings have led to a lot of issues. Wei will go down again. As we said, it's very hard to play the Nocturne in this game. JDG much better on the macro, much better using their powerful solo lanes.
Yeah, this has been, you know what, JDG? I love the draft. I really did. Maokai Yone's been very dangerous. They've managed to play through that. And of course, Xiaoshu, this Tryndamere, inspired. This Jace has done their very best to stay in the game. They're not anymore, and I don't think anyone deals with this Tryndamere in the game at this point. We'll come back to live, and we see Vampire going for some shenanigans there onto Wei. Does indeed get the punish very well. Chain to Corruption, follow up alongside Hongq, and down goes the Nocturne.
I know this game is falling out of proportion, and I know it's... well, Ronald's going to die in a turn.
Yeah.
He's likely going to die. Oh no, in fairness, actually, Wei was there. Fair play. Does end up surviving that one. But this is... brings in another point, right? It is important to see what this game could have been to let us know if the team is genuinely just playing badly and where did this game fall apart. Last game, we saw Renard losing to Hongq early. The TF get the extra bulkiness to survive in side lane. He got to control the map. That's kind of happened here again, Sam. Renard makes some huge mistakes. This time he feeds it over to Xiaoshu in that top lane. That means that Breathe, who was actually playing well in a 1v1. I don't want people blaming Breathe for this. He was counterpicked, and if you watch the individual trades, he is mechanically playing this matchup out as well as he can do. Renard should have been safe in side lanes. He should have been controlling the map himself. The Rise is good into the Yone and into the Tryndamere in an individual matchup in side lanes if you build towards the right items. He's gone for the pen boost. He wants the higher damage. I think he should have gone towards Frozen Heart and Steel Caps, and he never dies. I'm worried here that Renard is throwing reasonable, achievable game plans for IG to the wayside because he individually is giving up so much gold to important members on the other side that IG can't play. I hate bringing so much blame onto an individual player. but there is also a level of realism. We have to call a spade a spade.
And yeah, this spade has been digging a serious ditch is the problem as well. Like, it's not just one or two bad plays.
It's a
That Realm War play is probably the worst play I've seen this year.
It's up there with Hung's Death Under turret last year on the Alistair looking for the reset. That one I could, I jump into mid lane. Varus, does he have summoners? Yes, he does, which means Way's disengaged.
Oh no, out comes the Nature's Grasp, scares the cleanse from the Mikhails, but the problem is, look at the flank. Not there, actually. Renard was ghosting on in. I thought that was someone else. It was not.
Now, what it does do is get the flash out of Gala. That's good. Flash out of Gala is good. Maybe you can flash Nautilus ult. Now, Baron is available, and they've just used a huge cooldown in that Nocturne ultimate. He's only got the one Ultimate Hunter stack. He is on the reset. You're correct in calling that out. JDG judged that well. He's going to fly out of the map. They do check with the Realm Warp. They bring a single minion to the play. They use that to check. The Baron Honky's going to fly over. Doesn't hit Chachi there.
Does bring down Mako. The Vampire goes with the headbutt pulse. Xiaoxu gets the mocking shout. In we go. Can look to potentially burn that ult. Well, Xiaoxu doesn't do so yet. Vampire now in danger. This is a little bit dicey. Curtains get called. Does he want to body block this? I don't think they do. Honkyu's going to unbind his soul. Junja does go in and manages to get that with a Nature's Grasp. Good pickup from at least one back there with a Deadly Flourish onto Gala. The problem is Xiaoxu has still got a lot of HP to work with, and Breeze needs to run on out here. Not bad for IGB playing from such a big deficit.
Yeah, I actually think JDG make a mistake there. I don't think they should hop over the back of the pit there anyway. There's no chance of a steal coming through. Just cake the Baron. You split yourself, things go wrong. Breeze looks for the solo kill. It's a bit of a desperation play. Can't get it. You can't blame him for trying. IG... It's been a very difficult series for them. I think IG have some good players on their roster. I think they have some real potential, but they need a different mid laner, Sam. And I know that it's, again, a little bit, I suppose, taboo to speak about a roster like that. And again, this is a co-stream. We're afforded that, I suppose, to a certain degree. Renard has to go. I'm sorry, he has to go. His champion pool is limited. He is destroyed by the top teams. We said that about Sobro and about Photic in Split 1, but I think this game has just gone well beyond the pale.
And to be fair, there were some points earlier on in the split were saying, hey, you know what, that's not bad. The LeBlanc games were fun. We saw some cool mechanical plays, but as this split has gone on, I've become more and more leery of seeing this guy play. This has not been it, guys. It's really not. And JDG giving Honkyu a free lane is one of the biggest loss conditions out there. It's not really been Honkyu's split. Today, it's been Honkyu's series.
Solid game from JDG once it hits the mid game. Just really understanding who's powerful, what power they have. I think particularly Honkyu. Look, I love this guy when he's ahead. When he has a playmaker instead of jumping onto the Gala, doesn't have the flash, remember?
He doesn't go splayed out. I think he's likely dead, but they can't keep going because the CC from Vampire is good. Honkyu gets the ult, drags by way. Gala will fall, but so I suspect will Wei. Honkyu gets to keep autoing, goes with the Spirit Cleave, Breathe with the accelerated shot blast, but there's a flash and a Nature's Grasp, or Twisted Advance rather, and that will bring him low as well. They murder a few people. Gala's life traded for 4. I think JDG will take that.
Yeah. I mean, real credit to Jachi. I think that he's really doing his job of putting out damage, staying safe. He's been the better AD carry today, I think. Well, no, Gala was good in game 1. He's been the better AD carry in the second game. Not that Gala hasn't been put under pressure. This is more of a statement of Jachi is doing well. I actually think Mako was doing well too, but then of course Honky was so fed. What can the Nautilus do? The 2v2 was good. As we said, IG had a chance to win this game, but it fell apart really around that Rise ultimate, which I genuinely do not have words for. You can talk about it all you want after the game. I need to get that out of my head, really. Yeah. Gala has no summoners, can't escape this one. It's a good play. If they just had enough gold, perhaps it would have made the difference. He had to cancel his ultimate because Junja and Xiaoxu were on his case. Breathe gets ran down by Xiaoxu a little bit there, has to disengage too. What else have you got left in the tank, though, at this point, IG? It's a good enough attempt. They do end up getting the AD carry down. They can't do any better.
Live, there's the lights being turned out. Honkyu kills the person who took out the power. Stop messing with my light switch. Mako now potentially in a dangerous spot. Xiaoxu will need to Undying Rage there. This is going to flash on Jachi, who does get out, actually. The Ignite is down, does burn the Summoner, gets away safely. Would have threatened to kill with the 4th shot, actually, so couldn't quite keep going. Junja into the enemy base. So is Vampire, so is Honkyu. They're looking at the end of the game here. Double Infernal Dragons to JDG. We've got 15 seconds on Mako and Wei. I don't really have a Baron to work with at this point, but they can certainly look to threaten Nexus turrets nonetheless.
Oh, pops the Ghost. What's he do here? Has the Seekers. I don't think going Golden will help him, though. I think this has very much been a tarnished silver performance here. Actually pulls the ult. Vampire has the ult running though, so he's not taking that much damage, and he'll just body block for his team.
Does indeed. The Deadly Flourish lands. This could maybe be something. I think he might now be forced to flash. Can they look for more? Can't quite get the kill. No way is he walking away from this.
G. The Rue, very close.
Turn around.
Block on the way back. Xiaoshu's here. He doesn't have the ult for 5 seconds, but could think about going in anyway. His ult's coming back in 3, 2, 1. Nymaera can fight again now.
Mako did the best to body block there with the Mikhails, but it just won't matter as they do indeed get to keep rolling on forwards. The lights get turned out, but the piercing arrow puts Jace in the dirt again. The Nocturne flies in, but it's a Hail Mary at best. And unfortunately, this one isn't winning an Oscar. They'll head over towards the Nexus. It has been destruction from JDG and Invictus Gaming. Their name today has been a lie.
Jachi sits on the fountain, deathless in this game, having achieved some wonderful stats for himself. It doesn't matter. Invictus Gaming have an issue in the mid lane, and that is putting it lightly. JDG, solid series from them. We have seen a high upper level from them. Gala, smiles from him. Smiles over at Mako, of course. Two of the greats, the real greats in their roles here in LPL. JDG, clearly the better team today, but largely that came through mid lane. I actually think IG had a decent showing across other roles. I thought that Breed in individual 1v1s was actually pretty good. I think bot lane laned better than JDG's on the other side of it. It didn't lead to a winning game state though, Sam. JDG, I think they definitely have to thank Honky for this series. Made it such a simplified equation.
Yeah, that was something, to say the least. And thank you all for joining us. It means a huge deal, especially when the games get a little bit weird over here in the LPL. Thank you one and all for being here. If you've not hit that follow button, hit the follow button. Come on, guys. Like it's not that hard. Just hit the follow button. Do it. Makes a huge difference to myself and to Alex in terms of that ability to keep looking for things like sponsors and support and all that kind of deal. If you've got a Prime sub, if you've got that extra £5, please consider the subscription. There's a Ko-fi link as well for you YouTube viewers. That will make a massive difference as well. Thank you to those who choose to help. It means a huge, huge deal.
Okay, well, that's the end of our series today, folks. Now, I have some plans after the stream, so I'm not going to be streaming. Sam is, I believe, so you're going to be streaming some Legends of the Runes.
I am. We're going to go and continue. We've got Gawain of the Green Knight as our next mission.
Very cool. One of the
I know
most
this
cool
one very well, so I've got lots
cool.
of things to tell you about this story.
Great stuff, then. Sam, do you want to take your chair out as well, then, as you go? Perfect. Great stuff. We'll raid over to Sam once he's ready with the stream. We'll sit around. We'll talk about this series as much as we can, and we'll get into the interview if we can as well. Yeah. I'm still actually a little bit shell-shocked by that Rise play. Yeah, that's one of the worst. That's one of the worst plays I've seen this year. It was just madness, Maybe accidentally stepped back into it or something, but yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. Thanks everyone for sticking around, and I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Gosh. Let's see what the post-match thread's saying about it. Okay, let's see what they've got, because that was just poor. Thank you very much, Jackson. Appreciate that, team. I'm poor. That mid diff is just crazy. I mean, there's so many little takeaways you can have about this game because mid diff is just so hard. Well, that's your damage graphs. Breathe did a fair amount. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Renard now has a negative win rate in the LPL. Yeah, with that kind of gameplay, it does not surprise me. I'm gonna need to get a clip of that because yeah, I gotta go post that and talk about it. I look, we have, like, I do have to talk about it. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna insinuate what you're thinking it is, right? But just, I am thinking that too, right? Okay. Okay, I think Sam should be good to go soon, so we'll I don't see
Hello，
Sam
亲爱的各位
right
召唤师，
now.
欢迎来到赛后采访，我是主持人松琪。我们邀请到的是北京 JDG 的中单选手红 Q， 先跟大家打个招呼吧。
大家好，我是 JDG 的中路红 Q。
欢迎红 Q。今天团队打的真是太好了，是一个稳稳的2比0拿下嘛。整体打下来，你觉得队伍的发挥怎么样？
就大家都发挥的非常好吧，然后配
Hey,
合
there we go.
上面
Right, gonna rate over to Sam if you're on YouTube, chill and hit.